Hello, everybody. Welcome to Frame Trap. Today, I am joined at the end there, Michael Huber.
Qui-Gon Jinn.
Qui-Gon Jinn. Is
Qui-Gon
he your
Jinn.
favorite prequel character?
And Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
Like the alliance, dude, the combo of them. Like, I just want to watch a show where it's them two exploring the galaxy.
I almost feel like Obi-Wan is so good that no matter who you say, you gotta be like, but
Obi-Wan.
Obi-Wan is
Yes.
pretty good. Yeah. Yeah. Right next to him. Hey, Hank, who's your favorite prequel character?
Guado.
Guado.
No. Qui-Gon, I suppose, and
Qui-Gon.
Obi-Wan, of course.
you just gotta slide him in there. I'll be hosting you through this, but more. I can tell that this is probably going to be a pretty loose frame trap.
is gonna be-
We pretty much had a frame trap before we shot.
We've been talking for like an hour.
Talking about a wide range of things. But to maybe keep the train rolling, there's a question that popped into my head that I want to throw to you guys. We're approaching the twilight years of this console generation, and I'm somebody, I love console generations. We're talking about it.
Me too.
I feel like my life is defined by console generations.
Yes.
As pathetic as that sounds.
No way.
I kind of know exactly what you mean, though.
Yeah. Like you think of the PlayStation, and you're like, that was a different
time.
Yeah. Anyway, how do you think this generation will be remembered in the broadest of strokes?
Oh, man.
Broad strokes. Dude, like indies, maybe? Indies? So I think this was like a really good generation for indies because I think last year, I think of Xbox 360 really kicking things off, getting those into, Xbox Live, making them more accessible, making them like more of a thing. I feel like this generation was just like millions of indie games. There's just so many. So many games.
I kind of agree and disagree because I feel like the rise of indies felt like ferocious during the 360 PS3 days.
Yeah.
But I think it just kind of kept that train rolling, and I think it broke down the wall of like. It used to be back in the day, even when I was starting in Dream Trailers, it was always like qualifying indies, saying like this indie game or whatever.
Yeah.
And I just don't feel like that tag is as relevant. You just don't need to explain it as much because the difference in quality or production values is not as obvious. And we can talk about something like a Hollow Knight and not just say it's good for an indie game, but hey, this is one of the best Metroidvanias that we've ever played.
Yeah.
And there's no reason to qualify it.
True.
So something like that.
Yeah.
This generation to me is interesting because it was the first generation in a while that didn't have some like huge technological leap associated with it. You know what I mean? Like PS3 in that they were going HD. We were already HD for this one.
And they were doubling the bits even before that.
Right.
8-bit,
Every time it was
16-bit.
a doubling of a bit, and so like that technology. And now the way they talk about it just sounds more like a computer or whatever. It's just
Right.
like, hey, it's better, but it's like iterative almost. But I think what we're seeing in this generation is sort of like the business stabilizing. Like the business feels like it entered the modern era with this generation in a weird way for me.
Yeah.
Where it's like they're learning how to iterate and just stay stable. Kind of, does that make sense?
It does. I agree with that. I think what was, and you have this now, I guess, with battle royales and games as a service and that sort of thing. But the thing about last generation is I remember a lot of talk of being like kind of obsessed with like we're doing video games a new way,
Right,
Where it's like
right.
like everything has got to be cinematic, everything's got to have multiplayer in it. Like there was just kind of this different. Call of Duty really fucked people up when it came to thinking about how to make games, and I think this generation is kind of served as a rejection of that almost. That where you obviously still get big budget, huge cinematic games, but all of these franchises that were thought dead and buried multiple times, like just rising out of the ashes, and companies that maybe had left a bitter taste in people's mouth in the previous generation are coming back stronger than ever this generation.
I want to change my answer.
Go ahead.
Ease of access.
Sure.
That's what I was kind of trying to say with indies too.
Yeah.
Just so many games available easily.
Right.
Well, relatively depending on network and network speeds and all that, but just so many games readily available. Digital age, like I never in my wildest dreams thought I would buy digital.
Right.
Now it's like all I buy. Like if you check the tape back in the day, I'm just like,
you were
no,
like, never.
Absolutely.
Freaking more.
I was the same way,
I
man.
want my boxes. I love my boxes and my like
I went all
having them all on my
digital
shelf.
as soon as possible.
But you know what I also never have to deal with that I did even in the game trailers days, like calling up a store being like, do you have this? No.
Right.
Yeah.
Or seeing that shelf where like it's got the price tag but nothing's
there. Yeah.
Like you don't have to worry about that anymore, which is really nice. And I think ease of access is a really good point to bring up because like even if you're not paying for games individually, you probably have a disgusting amount to play at all times.
Yeah,
like
so many
everything,
free-to-plays.
every service you sign up to is giving you free games to play. Game Pass is giving you just so many things to pay. That I don't know. It feels harder to be bored, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. There's
Kinda
a lot.
To expand, like Huber just did kind of on my answer too, like, remember the, like, quality ramp of the PS3 generation, especially on PS3. I think Xbox had a few more, like, bangers out the gate, but, like, PS3 really kind of faltered and then, like, ramped up in quality toward the end of the cycle, I
Yeah.
thought. This one, I think that curve is still there a little bit, but by and large, you know, it was a lot less sharp of a curve.
Right.
Like, the whole time we've been kind of just like, yeah, pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good games.
The PS3 definitely had a dark period at the beginning where it was a lot of like, what are you doing? Whereas this to me felt a lot more like the PS2 where it kind of, I mean it's different. There are pretty dramatic differences between the PS2 and PS4, but I feel like they've been consistently strong throughout the years.
And wow, Microsoft has made good
Oh my God,
moves. Like, because you're talking about just the shifts. Like,
Right.
it looked for a minute there like PlayStation was just going to blow it out of the water. And I think, like...
Which it kind of still
But
did.
like, Games Pass and the Xbox One X, I think, was actually a really smart move.
And that's the thing about Microsoft that I think has been so impressive the last couple of years is I feel like Microsoft of the past, or really any game company of the past, would have fought tit for tat, and what I mean by that is it doesn't feel like they're just trying to copy PlayStation. It feels like they're trying to find new ways to be better, and that's not always necessarily through first-party games. It might be through services or features or whatever it is. And I really like that approach. And the same thing from Nintendo, where like Nintendo feels like it's fighting its own battle, where it's like they've made a system where they can generate buzz by just putting your super old thing on this system, and that's exciting because you can play it on the go, and it's like it's kind of crazy to me, and it's awesome that so many reports are coming out about Witcher 3 on Switch, and they're like, actually, it's not bad, and like that's really exciting for people.
We're like, okay,
It's just not that bad. It's better than expected. And so they're all doing very different things.
I think for Generation 8, what's the next?
Yeah, we're on 8.
What the hell number are we on?
We're
on 8?
We're in 8 right now.
Okay. So for 9, I think Microsoft's in a really good spot.
Yeah,
I think that they're going to do better next generation than they did this generation.
I think they're all in a
probably.
good spot.
Yeah. PS5 is probably going to come out the gate just like blowing things out. Like if Last of Us 2 is PS5 only, it's going to just like destroy everything.
So a slightly cynical
Sorry. I didn't mean to say it. I'm sorry.
a slightly cynical take on this is this. In a lot of ways, this kind of feels like it's been the generation of dreams, where like
Dreams isn't even out yet.
like so many things have happened, and I guess maybe just using like Final Fantasy VII Remake for an example.
Yeah.
That's coming out. That seemed for a time like unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I think there are a lot of moments where we can point to that like I can't believe this is happening, and I can't believe it's being done so well. That's a hard thing to follow up. Like that's a hard thing I think in the next generation, even if you're doing really, really well. I just wonder if they're going to be able to capture attention in the same way. Like, I don't know. Like, is Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2 going to be? Was it going to feel as momentous as Part 1? I don't know. Maybe there's things that maybe they're already thinking about this and have solved these problems. But yeah,
I like that. I like that a lot, Ben.
You talking about Final Fantasy VII when it was announced made me think back to game trailers, and I was just thinking like, man, remember game trailers?
yeah.
Like in the Defy office and stuff, like with those weird sets and stuff.
7 Remake.
Man.
But like maybe to give people a peek behind the curtain, and Huber, you can probably speak to this as well. It was so interesting being on the editorial team because you definitely had to like rank things in terms of like
significance.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that.
yeah, it was. It was like, okay, we're gonna spend more time covering this because more people care about it, and it was like a very, I don't know if I want to say corporate, but like to survive when you were dependent on views like that, that's what you had to do. But us being on Patreon, and I think a lot more independent voices kind of rising through YouTube and Twitch, it doesn't feel like that anymore. It's like, we're going to cover this because it's what we care about or are knowledgeable about. And I think it has just, I don't know, it doesn't feel like Call of Duty is eating everything anymore.
Right.
It feels like it's easier for games to thrive.
I'm happy that I feel very fortunate that Easy Allies is in a position that we can, by and large, just talk about what we want to talk about. And what we're interested in.
Yeah.
Like that this is not shade at all, but, I really wanted to come here and really, really wanted to talk about World of Warcraft Classic.
Why didn't you?
The queue times.
Oh.
So you haven't been able to play it?
Yeah. The queue times.
You're not.
Ben was just like, no.
I just want to play and talk about it.
Yeah.
You haven't gotten in at all?
Dude, I got in like day one, but I had to go somewhere like really quickly, so I played for like
no.
20 minutes and then have not been able to get back in. 5 hours. Queue time.
That's terrible.
And then I set it and forget it. I set it like and came to work. But then I got home because it's like, all right, it's 5 hours. I'll be home and like maybe I'll be logged in. And I got home and it was like, you've been disconnected.
Because you just got in and sat there?
It's awesome. It's legitimately awesome, but it's also kind of confounding. Like if you would have talked to me in like 5 years ago, and you were like, okay, one of the biggest things in 2019 is they're going to re-release the 2004 version of World of Warcraft, and it's going to get like millions of viewers on Twitch. Like it's a wild story.
It works for Disney.
Just not something I would have
never guessed.
Like obviously people rightfully hold that game in tremendously high regard and have very strong feelings and memories of it.
Yeah.
But
I think we're underestimating like two sides of it, Ben. One, the people that wanted to go back in for nostalgia, and two, the people who had never played and just wanted to see, you get to see, it's like a time capsule. You get to see what is considered, honestly, one of the best video games of all time. It's always on lists.
Right.
Like, but fresh and new again? Like, it is such a weird thing.
Does it look completely the old way?
Yeah, 04.
But
my God.
Yeah.
I think what is like making
Might be a
WoW
little
Classic
graphical
extra
stuff.
potent is it's not just like what did I miss and what can I try to recapture. It is like as a video game that still currently exists. There's still a modern version of World of Warcraft to play. Is it's like what did this game maybe wrongfully leave behind?
Mm-hmm.
What are the things that it cut out that maybe it shouldn't have? Where did the magic get lost for some people? Clearly, a lot of people.
Yeah.
I don't think it would be like as explosively popular as it was if there wasn't something that it did that is missing.
Which could be an entire podcast on its own. But
could be, yeah.
for me, it was just really one point was just by making it easier and accessible, they made it like you just tune out. It's like autopilot.
Yeah.
For me personally, when I'd play the newer expansions and stuff,
Right.
I like the original where it's like you have to read the quest and you have to go actually find it. It'll be like, all right, go kill those things southwest of this rock. You have to go find the rock, go southwest, like find the creatures. So you have to like do more detective work and like work more with the community instead of just like queuing up for things.
Is vanilla, that's what they're calling it, right? Vanilla?
WoW Classic.
WoW Classic.
Yeah.
Is that going to be around forever or is it just a limited time thing?
I mean, it's forever now. I mean,
So they haven't said.
But who knows? Like,
Let me tell you the power of money.
yeah.
but
Now it'll be around forever.
before it came out, I was like, well, then are they going to release like Burning Crusade, and are they just going to like catch up to? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, are they going to keep releasing
But, I
expansions?
mean,
but then it ends up becoming just.
It just becomes
Well,
itself?
yeah. So wait, where do we stop here?
We
if
can
they
we
let you
can
jump-
we can maybe revisit this conversation in a little bit.
We got to talk about it.
What if they let
Yeah.
you jump to any part or something? Like you pick.
That'd be weird.
That'd be weird.
Okay, so they let you pick. They have it's like you log in and they're like pick on this timeline, but
Pick
it
a
also
date.
it has a photo of you. It has like a photo of 2004 you, and then like here's 2008 you, and then you just
That
pick
is
it.
really Here's where you were in your life when you were
here-
doing this.
Yeah.
When you were finding this rock and going and killing those things.
But we should move on because we have something very exciting to talk about, and this something is control.
Yeah.
And I think before we get any farther in this conversation, I haven't finished it yet, but I've played it. Yeah,
We're gonna spoil
I'm
it.
doing 2 reviews right now.
We're gonna tell you the ending.
Everyone dies. There is no control. Woo! What
It's
day
not
is
a
it?
lake, it's an ocean.
Yeah.
Anyway, we all really like
Take us
Control.
away. Take us away, Ben.
Anyway, we all really like Control. Ian, I think you've been pretty infatuated with it
That's
since you
pretty
played
good.
it.
That's pretty cool.
Ian, Huber, you gave it a 9 out of 10. And I think, I don't know, I guess Ian, but Huber and I, we've had strong attachments to Remedy games in the past. Remedy doesn't make games all that often. So what is it about Control that you think is special?
Me?
Yeah.
Anyone.
Oh yeah.
You.
Panelists.
I played a little bit of Alan Wake on a stream on PC before it like became illegal or whatever, and I really liked the world and the tone of it, and I really didn't like the like gameplay / combat,
Got it.
if you could call it that. Whereas here, it's the full package. It's got everything, and it's weird fiction, freaky brutalist architecture, synth music. Being a cool badass lady, floating around, weird shit, mysteries. Like it literally, this is just like everything I want in a game.
I think it might have my favorite combat in a Remedy game.
Oh,
it, like,
easily.
Like it's kind of crazy how good everything feels. And like there are a lot of moments where you're just kind of going from place to place and things will just spawn in. And if you were to tell me that, if it's like, yeah, you'll do a lot of fighting where dudes will just appear out of nowhere and then you'll do a wave and then another wave will come in. I'm like, that sounds super generic and like every other game, and I wouldn't necessarily trust Remedy to make that be the best. That's not what I'm there for. It's kind of like the tone that you're talking about. But like all of the powers flow together so well, and like it's kind of crazy how smoothly you can transition from one thing to another. And I also love that in a lot of instances, like enemies go down quick. It's not like you're fighting a ton of things. They do have that stuff, but it's not like you're fighting a ton of things where it's like, okay, I got to sit here. It's very active. It's very like this thing's shooting at me. I put up my shield while I'm reloading. Shield drops. I shoot the guy. It's dead. I move on to the next thing. So it feels like frantic almost in a very good way.
The pacing and ramp up of how you get new powers and upgrade your current powers feels so good.
Phenomenal
like,
pacing.
Leveling up launch, so when you can like throw little guys back, like, and then you throw heavy guys back, it's just so it feels so good.
I want to talk about telekinesis because I feel like I've had experiences in
Hard to do well.
Yes, exactly. I've experienced telekinesis in other games where it's just been such a pain in the ass where like moving the thing doesn't feel as snappy as you want it to be, or like you have to switch to telekinesis to do it. Whereas here, it's like, okay, wherever you're at, like if you just want to rip out a part of the wall because you need to take down this guy's shield, you can do it. And so it's just, again, it's just that immediacy of being like, see a guy with a shield, grab anything, like almost literally anything in the world, and then just throw it at him.
Well, and there's, I want to like talk to the coders about how they did the telekinesis, because it does, there's some kind of like triage that they do where it's like the items that we assume you will want to grab the most must have like some kind of like subtle percentage priority based on proximity.
Totally.
Because like you'll think in your mind, like, I want to grab that chair, but you'll be looking over here, and you'll just go,
yep, every time.
It grabs the exact thing you're looking for, and if you don't, it grabs a chunk of wall, and that's the other thing is, like, you always get something when you try to throw something, even if it's not, an item, it's a part of the floor or something, and I think that that's really good, but it's like weird magic. Like, it almost always grabs the thing you're trying to grab, even if you're not, like, aimed right at it.
Right, and you that precision is really remarkable because you'll be in a room and it will have like this white outline of everything that you can grab, and it'll be like 20 things right next to each other, and you can pick up like all of them.
Yeah.
And you're right. Like I haven't had an instance where it's like, oh, I got super not what I wanted here.
Yeah.
I mean, I think of course
There
it
like
helps
one
that
or two times, but it's like whatever.
And I think part of it helps because it's like they're serving a lot of the same purpose. So even if you don't grab exactly the right thing, you're still okay.
Once or twice I grabbed something that exploded and didn't realize it and then blew myself almost to death.
To smithereens.
But dude, grabbing people's projectiles feels so cool.
10 out of 10. 10
and
out of
like
10.
I was playing on headphones for most of it, and if you grab someone's rocket, it like misses you, and you can hear the like momentum of the rocket go. and slow down and then come back and then you throw it. It just feels so damn good.
So sick.
I think the decision to not have regenerating health was
So
extremely
cool.
smart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like,
I kept thinking you'd get to upgrade into it, and I'm glad that you don't.
you know, I think of Max Payne 1 and 2, and for as flashy and cool as those are, like, Max Payne, I'm obsessed with Max Payne. But like revisiting them, you know, you're really limited, and it is you kind of have to like cheese in Max Payne 1 a little bit. Not
Yeah.
cheese, but like
It's a little hard,
you
yeah.
take advantage of you being a human and them being computer AI.
Right.
You know, you totally take advantage. So they like they went the survival route in Alan Wake, which I love, but then in Quantum Break, which is basically controlled like 0.5 combat wise, you know, they added mobility and moving around, like avoiding bullets, but just that constant movement.
Yeah.
But it was so there wasn't like, I'm rambling, I'm sorry, but in Quantum Break it just felt like you could only do so much for every encounter. Like it was just heavily reliant on like dashing and putting the bubble on people and then just shooting them a bunch of times. Whereas this, I always feel like I have to use everything in my arsenal.
Right.
I have to use like both
And you're
weapon
like
forms.
switching a lot.
I have to use that stuff. I've got to dash. I've got to go in and get those health pickups. Like there's just a lot to think about, and it just feels like an evolution and the culmination, really, of combat for this entire company.
That's the
That's what I'm
craziest thing.
basically
Is
trying
like,
to say.
is like, yeah, it really does. Because I played Max Payne
Yeah.
1 and 2, and like I played a little bit of Alan Wake, you know, and so like I've seen the touchstones of Remedy, and like this is so them just evolved.
Yeah.
Everything. It's
Yeah.
like perfect
It is.
execution.
It really is.
Oh man,
So this in the gun that you have, this living weapon, it doesn't have
service weapon,
Yeah, it doesn't have ammunition.
which is so cool.
Yes, but I usually in games where they have weapons like that, like waiting for a meter to like for something to cool down or to fill back up, like ends up you feel like you babysit it in a way that sucks. Whereas here, there's almost like this workaround, and you talked about needing to use everything, where there'd be times where it was like, okay, well, like as my weapon is reloading, I can pop up the shield, and it feels cool. Like I don't feel like I'm just standing behind cover, even though I am, but it's cover that I erected, and there's things happening. Like I'm lifting up part of like the ground in front of me, deflecting these bullets. I'm doing something as something else is finishing, or I'm using telekinesis to throw something at somebody while this thing is happening, or I'm
I love
possessing
that.
a guy
Yeah.
while this thing is happening. And
that
so,
part's so good.
like, there's not, and a lot of games suffer that feeling so much, where it's like you're playing whack-a-mole, or it's like, okay, you do your thing, then I do my thing. And it's like this kind of predictable back and forth, whereas I feel like in Control, like everything is happening all at once, and you're just seamlessly transitioning from one thing to another.
Totally.
Which is really, really cool.
I know they're so different, but I'm thinking of like Uncharted 4's evolution of like just movement, you know? And I think that's why I like cover based, I think, like purely cover, I think is for me personally not as interesting anymore. I just like the way action games are going where like you're moving, you know? I think of Uncharted
Moving all
more
the time.
active.
Uncharted 4
yeah.
where you're just moving all the time, but there are times when you cover down and shoot, but then you're moving and roping around. And this too, you're just dashing all over the place.
Well, it's funny because
running.
you mentioned the shield a bunch of times, and I like the shield, but I would like the way I play this stuff. I forgot about the shield most of the time. I would just like fly around and avoid stuff.
Right.
But it's cool that both of those are viable, and like I was always like flying and evading and then throwing people at each other and like shooting.
I was worried that the shield, like, to speak to Huber's point, I was worried that the shield was like gonna be nice, but not something I use very often. And I absolutely adore in games when they introduce a new mechanic or a new power, and it, like you have that moment where you're like, oh, I can use it all the time for this, and it doesn't just become like this. I think sometimes games get too hung up on like tools that are good, maybe like once every so often, and like they don't provide a compelling enough reason to use the whole arsenal a lot. Whereas I think Control, it's not perfect, but I think Control does a much better job of giving you those moments naturally where you're like, oh, I see a very obvious use case for this.
And if
like
you're
almost every fight.
if you're paying attention to like the enemy mixtures and stuff, like each enemy has a tell especially like the floating enemies before they hurl something really big at you, where it's like a little red flash or something, and it's like, oh, shield up, you know, like, and it really, like, if you're paying attention and you know, in the moment with that stuff, it feels really badass.
But I think just visually, like, I love it when a game visually matches the way that it feels. And we talked a lot about kind of the fluidity of combat, but I think visually it is absolutely like the destructibility in this game is so like, even if you're just fighting a bunch of grunts, like everything around you is getting like ripped to shreds.
Crisis zone.
And the hiss themselves, like, just in the middle of a battlefield, like just killing one of them, and then like this puff of like smoke. And,
it's a joy
and stuff. Yeah, it's just
exhilarating.
It's just awesome. It's a game where it doesn't feel like you're waiting necessarily for those big moments, because I think a lot of the regular moments are plenty exciting in one way or another.
It's interesting because, like, I feel like Remedy games in the past had like a little bit of jank just like inherent in their systems.
Oh,
to
absolutely.
a certain extent. And this one has, you know, like, yeah, the frame rate's not great on base consoles, and like it crashed a couple of times for me on PC. I didn't have any frame rate problems or anything, and the ray tracing looks freaking crazy. But like,
I haven't had like any crazy problems on PC.
What I was gonna say is, like, all of the core system, like, there's no like jank to this game besides like that stuff. Like, the physics systems work really well. The ray tracing and everything, the graphics are really good, but the gameplay, everything is really solid in this game.
Yeah.
And I just feel like, it sounds like pedantic to say like I'm proud of Remedy, but like it feels so good to have this company like just nail it like that.
Yeah.
Despite the frame rate issues and stuff like that, but like
Digital Foundry, really good article on all the performances for all of them. Remedy also just came out and said they're working on that to try to make it better.
And it's funny because like I didn't even know about that.
Yeah.
Because the PC version didn't have that problem.
I want to come to your house and see.
You got to see, dude. It's crazy.
I want to.
I've never seen I was using
see it.
Like there was a part. Get this. There was a part where I had my back to a projector that was playing Dr. Darling or whatever, while I was looking at like a glass display case with like a cool like thing in it.
Yeah.
And the reflection of Dr. Darling was on the display case, and so was I, and I could just see the reflection of
sick.
Dr. Darling, you know? And it was just like, I'm like, man, video games.
Yeah. I do. You brought up
So
Dr.
jealous.
Darling, and you made me want to. I want to talk about the tone and the humor in the storytelling, because. And Huber, we and I, we both talked about this before we started recording. But my first session with Control, I was like, okay. And I think
Same.
like it was like, yeah, I definitely want to keep playing, but I wasn't like enchanted in the way that I eventually became, because I love just kind of being thrown into the middle of something. I love when things are weird and abstract, but I think, you know, at some point you have to give somebody a hook. You have to give somebody something to latch onto, so, you know, they can start digging into whatever world that you're presenting. And Control at the beginning, it just felt so distant, where like entire conversations were happening, but it was like, well, based on my perspective, it sounds like nothing happened. Like you're talking around all of this in such a way that is a little frustrating, and so it felt hard to invest in. But eventually, like, they don't really change too much how they present things, but eventually it gets to a point where it all just starts clicking, or Jesse says something where it's like, oh, okay, you're giving me more of your backstory, and it all starts falling into place. And then once that happened, it was like, okay, I'm in, I care now. But at the beginning, and it's not even like a bad thing. I think it's one thing where if I once I finish it and I go back and I see the beginning, I think I would appreciate it more if that were to happen. But I think as somebody who was like fish out of water with it, it was hard to invest in immediately.
It's interesting because like
Slow burn.
Because like weird fiction is like my favorite genre, and this falls very squarely into that genre. And like that's how they start basically. Like usually it starts with it's either like really vague and confusing or like super normal. And like it ramps into it pretty slowly usually. Yeah. And like so I guess I was anticipating that in this.
I think what also hurt it is at the very beginning of the game where you like just have a pistol and you don't really have a lot of powers to play around with.
Yeah.
I think those two things combined maybe the beginning felt a little bit slow.
I think I was just a little thrown. I didn't know the mise en scène of the game or the vibe of the game. You know, I didn't know how the game wanted me to play it. Right.
Yeah.
So you get thrown right in, and the way I play games is extremely slow, checking every corner, checking every box. But like that's kind of Control, but at the same time, it's an action game through and through. So I was just kind of thrown off in the beginning. Just the way she moved, because she controls like an action character. So the way in the beginning, you know, you're kind of just in this dark. The very beginning, you're in this dark building. So I like was wanting to explore and stuff, but it just kind of there was a disconnect with exploring. I think right off the bat.
Yeah.
Strange.
And then as I started getting into it, I was like, I understood the pace.
Right.
Of the way she moved and controlled. Whereas when I first started, I was just like trying to get acclimated to the way she interacts with the world.
I second that. That was very similar to my experience as well, where I felt like Control was something that I was just very slowly sinking into, and then once I sunk, I was in love. Yeah. But you know, it wasn't like an immediate reaction. Yeah. And I think maybe part of that comes from past Remedy experience, where the way that they do things with the live action stuff, it kind of has this cheesiness to it, but the humor I think is a little drier, I guess, than past Remedy. Like, oh man, one of my favorite things is you go to like this training area, and the voice doing the training is like, wait, so what do I say? Like he doesn't realize that he's being yes. He doesn't realize that he's being recorded, and so he's just saying it like so flatly, and then you read a report where it's like, I can't believe you used this. I'm so upset.
He's like requesting they take it down. They're like, I'm a professional actor. Like you can't use my rehearsal.
But it's even kind of that bit is something that you have to kind of piece together and think about a little bit. It's not something that's like hitting you in the face.
That's something I really like about. I was talking with Brad, and he was feeling a little overwhelmed, I think, by all the stuff to read. And like I read like probably 90% of the papers. Like there were a few where I was like in the middle of crazy stuff, and I was like, I'll come back later, and then they deleted my save. But like there were a lot of really cool, just little mini payoffs to like, oh, I read about that tree.
Yeah,
that's the tree that talks to people. That's cool. Like stuff like that, and like. Just all those little payoffs and
it's
like
really
some
hard.
Easter eggs that were we won't spoil.
It's
but
really
like,
hard to get that down, because I had a big problem with it in Quantum Break. Was just so many damn collectibles, man. Just walking 10 feet, collectible, read, walking 10 feet, reading, and like that.
I actually think Control
still kind of happens a little bit.
Yeah.
But the reason it didn't bother me as much was, one, I was kind of ready for it. So at some points, I read in chunks. I would just collect a ton and then be like, all right, I'm just going to read like a bunch right now. And just because everything was so well written, and I was just so
the
invested.
writing was pretty good across the board.
Yeah, and there were just so many payoffs, and it just felt like you were rewarded more for reading these things, whereas in Quantum Break, it just was all over my head, and then you were getting these characters in that I just wasn't attached to.
Quantum Break was a lot more straightforward in what I was trying to do, and I think the excess of material works more in Control, where it's just like you're just constantly trying to figure out what the hell is going on.
Yeah.
I think it does benefit that type of game a little bit more. I would still argue that Control overdoes it a little bit, and that like. You definitely get into instances where it's like you feel like you're constantly picking up stuff.
The
perfect for a second playthrough, though. Sure. You know, after all that's in your brain, then it's like I don't have to worry about it anymore.
The counter to that that I would say, and not that it needs to be countered, but like the one thing I kind of liked about it is like you are in an office whose job is to deal with all this stuff. So there would be a plethora of written material about all this stuff.
It's all context.
And one of the inspirations for this game is something called SCP, which stands for Secure, Contain, Protect. It's this website that basically is just like hundreds of articles like that.
Whoa.
Some of them get really weird.
Whoa.
But basically, it's a website that is basically like the Federal Bureau of Control.
Got it.
But like it's full of articles like that.
Whoa.
And so like part of the pedigree of this game is a huge amount of written articles about weird artifacts.
Yeah.
And so I think they were definitely like they're making their own little SCP within the game of Control.
Sick.
And like I think that they would even argue like they probably don't even expect most the majority of players to read most of this material.
No,
I think that they expect them to just like pick it up and say like,
I said
skim it.
I said there were over 100 in my review, but there is actually there's over 200
Papers?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot.
I went back and recounted. I was like, oh, whoa, I have like 215 of these? Jeez.
But I think there are so many small, smart decisions in Control that just do so much to establish the world in a way that, like, I can't think of other developers doing. And, like, you mentioned Dr. Darling, and I think he's really, really good because...
Great character.
His character arc is so cool.
You're interacting with a lot of characters, and you're seeing in-game models for them, but this character that you're chasing after, that you're trying to find, that you're trying to pin down, you only see him through, like, these VHS tapes, and it's a real actor playing him.
Yeah.
And so it makes him feel, like, even more out of reach and otherworldly because of this very careful way that they're presenting this character. Like, they're not just showing you a cutscene. He's kind of in the background in this very weird way that I think just does so much.
The cool thing with this, the characters in this, is they all seem so like kind of like aloof or bizarre and like unreachable, like unknowable people, because they're so used to dealing with all this bizarre stuff that they're just like ethereal almost. But then like you get later in the game, you get some really human moments with some of these characters that are pretty touching actually, and like it humanizes them in a really cool way. I don't know. Yeah, I was
Emily
surprised.
Pope is
Emily
one
Pope
of my
is the one I'm
favorite
thinking
characters of the year.
Emily Pope is great.
I also think
Such a good performance.
you talking about the human moments is interesting because I think when you have a game like Control and you kind of have this situation where it's like, what is this building? Who are these enemies? What are these people? What, like you have like an unlimited list of questions. I think it's easy to kind of have this like start and stop where it's like, all right, here's what this section is. All right, you made it a little bit far. Here's what this section is. The way Control frames it is like, there's a crisis happening in this building.
Yeah.
And so like, yeah, we're going to fill you in and you're going to get more context for what's going on, but there's always a very immediate problem to solve. There's somebody in danger. There's somebody that you need to reach out to. Like, I guess it feels less artificial that way.
Yeah.
You know, in a way that I really like.
There's such a great balance with like the skill, the progression, the skill tree, and the like you were saying earlier, just how perfect all that is. It's not overwhelming. There's just the right amount, and it invests you even more in just like the combat side of things. You know, it's not like, all right, I got to get through this combat encounter to get to the meat and potatoes. You know, the story stuff. It's like, no, dude, this combat's fun, and I'm getting like sick loot from it, you know?
Yeah, I think the thing that's interesting is it's just enough. Like in terms of like
just enough
progression and variety of abilities and like numbers, I guess.
Yeah.
It's a lot less complex than many games. But like you needing some materials to upgrade your weapons or to get a new weapon, like that gives you enough reason to want to go into those safe areas and open those boxes and get those materials and do those challenges, which I actually think are really smart. And again, that speaks to the puzzles. I expected the pace of Control to be a lot different. You're right, Hubert, where I'm like, oh, this is leaning on it being an action game more than I was expecting.
Yeah.
I expected maybe some more slow puzzles.
I went in thinking RE2.
I guess I expected like a lot of like, okay, in this section we're just gonna like walk around and look at stuff.
Yeah.
But it's not really that kind of game. You do have puzzles, but they're really so far they're really short and brief, and it is relying on combat, but it's good enough. And it's precise enough that it can get away with that, while still sprinkling in some other things in between.
Well,
so.
and the
There's one
exploration
puzzle
is...
that's real hard, but thankfully it's optional. We'll talk about it later. We'll talk about it later. But there was one that was like, dude, it took me like 40 minutes.
Give me a hint.
Gambling?
Oh yeah, I did that one. That was fucking hilarious.
Okay.
You got the
No
thing,
spoilers,
right? Did you do it?
Yeah.
I loved that.
Yeah. Cool.
Oh yeah, that was hilarious. But the exploration is really good, but like the combat, the more and more in control that you become throughout the game, like by the end of this game you feel like a badass. And it's
you
just
feel like a badass
Right out of the gate.
pretty much but like at the end you're just like a god, and it's like so much fun. Like it is funny, this game has like a few kind of intense difficulty spikes, one in particular that I'm thinking of. that I definitely tried a lot of times and like realized because I hadn't upgraded my health at all when I got to, like 70% of the way through the game.
Man,
Nice.
see, that was like
First
the first thing
always.
that I'm maxed out on health already.
Oh yeah,
and it's
I'd
First thing
maybe
I did.
done
Made
like
things a lot
the
easier.
first one, and then I was like trying to fight this boss, and I was like, you know what? I think I just don't have enough health to do this, and so I like left for a while and like upgraded my health, and came back and like beat it on my second or third
Just
try.
being able to like tune your character just a little bit with those mods also is so nice. People can, tune it a little bit to cater to their particular play style, which I just really appreciate.
But yeah, the thing about the upgrades, because I think about, because in addition to health, you have like this energy stamina meter that is governing the use of your powers. And I feel like in some games where like that's an option to upgrade, the way they start you out, it's not even fun using your powers because you run out of it so quickly.
You get like one.
And Control doesn't play that way. Like you're super functional without going up through that upgrade tree.
And it recharges pretty fast.
Yeah, but it's like this is useful enough that I still feel incentivized to do it. Yeah. But I don't feel like I'm not having fun if I don't. I don't feel like I'm unlocking the game.
It was one of the later things I upgraded was the energy. I think the only one at the end of the game, the only one I didn't have upgraded past the second pip was melee attack. I think I maxed out everything else.
The only thing that doesn't
Surprisingly, I didn't invest in melee that much either. It's one of the last things, which is so rare for me.
Because the guns... All right, wait. Count of three. Which is the best gun variant? Okay.
My personal
By
favorite?
name.
My personal favorite
Best.
or the best?
The best.
All right.
3, 2, 1.
Pulse.
Spinner.
That's what I meant.
Spin.
That's what I meant.
Yeah.
I forgot it
What
pulse
is it?
for
Is
some
it
reason.
spin or
just
spinner?
spin.
Okay,
Spin,
well that's
yeah.
what spinner.
The
I
machine
said
gun.
spinner, but
The
yes,
machine gun.
Spin. Yeah. Okay, good. Because like spin was crazy.
It's
Yeah.
it's pretty crazy. Yeah.
Especially when you get later on. I got a thing where it was like. They showed this in the trailer, so it's not a spoiler. Even though it's kind of weird that they showed this in the trailer. But
No, don't say it. If it's weird.
No. It's one of the abilities.
Okay.
You can levitate.
It's in the trailer?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's in
Okay,
like
yeah,
they showed
yeah,
it
yeah.
in everything.
Okay.
Which is weird because you get it kind of late. But there's a mod where it decreases how much ammo you use when you're levitating. I put 2 of them on spin, and I would always just hover slightly, and I was like,
That's great.
Awesome.
Yeah, I don't have levitate yet. I'm excited to
awesome.
get
oh,
that.
dude, it's dope.
That's really awesome.
The charge gun has also been pretty useful.
That's fun, yeah.
And
That's really
upgrading the guns to get the more mod slots is pretty cool. Also, like getting new outfits is so cool.
Another thing that I like about the upgrade system that is a really small thing, but I love when they're like, "Hey, thanks for upgrading. We're giving you some more mods."
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I would have upgraded anyway, but I like this little bonus.
Yeah.
And it's like it's a good carrot because you could see at the bottom, like
Yeah.
if I keep going, I'll get this additional benefit.
Totally.
I don't know. It makes you excited
Exactly.
to do it.
Because it's just enough.
It's just enough.
Just
it's
enough.
not overly
It's a very
complex.
measured game, and
It is
like
a very measured game. Yeah.
and it's really cool. I was talking with a friend of mine who took kind of a cynical tack on it, and he was saying it's basically just BioShock.
What?
That it's like someone gives you a quest, you go fight the like head of that department, and then you go back and they give you a quest and you fight the head of that department. And
you
only,
can do that about
he's only,
every
like-
single game
right,
ever.
He's only like halfway through, and I'm like, it gets way less linear the later you go. But also like, if
I
you're,
don't
if
think it's that linear.
I don't think so either, but like,
Yeah.
I think that's the difference. Is like, I think he's mainlining it, whereas I wanted to see every inch of this game.
yeah.
Well,
dude, take your
control
time.
can kind of trick you a little bit because, like we were talking about before the show, it's not always obvious where you can go, what's off limits, and like where your next side quest is going to happen. Like you kind of have to put it on yourself to
Yeah,
poke around a little bit.
dude, there was one quest I was trying to do.
Me and you.
Yeah, we both were.
We
stuck
were trying
on
to
it.
find this thing
I
for
was
a long
wandering
time,
around
yeah.
for like 45 minutes.
too,
like,
me
where
too.
the hell? And I was like looking at the map. I'm like,
Me
well, how
too.
do you get on these stairs?
Me
Like,
too.
what the hell's going on? And then I realized that you have to go the opposite direction to the other side and like talk to this dude laying on the ground, and it leads to a whole other side quest that opens up an entire wing of this department that I'd never been to, and it's like. On the one hand, that's kind of annoying that I was like looking at the map and couldn't get there. But on the other hand, I'm like, that's kind of fun. Like I just had to find this guy.
A nitpick on Control, I don't think the map is great.
I think they wanted it to be just helpful enough
Yeah,
without
just
being
enough.
too elucidating.
Just enough. It's a great map.
They
I love
wanted
this
it
map.
to be confusing.
I love this map.
Okay.
Not too reliant on this map. Just enough.
I love this map,
But
I love this map.
sometimes the way that the map is layered, where they have different floors,
it was confusing.
Here's what I'm
Yeah.
going to say. Here's
You're
my
right.
argument for
You're
why it could be. It's not. I don't think it's a problem. It's not like really hurting my enjoyment of the game. But I think it could be better. Is sometimes I feel like the map is presenting an area as more convoluted than it actually is to navigate.
Yeah.
And I think it should be like the other way around, where like sometimes it feels like the map is too dense. And
It was definitely late game when I figured out which shade of gray meant basement and which shade of gray meant upstairs.
Yeah.
I
Like
think
90% of the way
I
through.
was like, oh, it's upstairs.
I am all for like you not being super reliant on it and you not just staring at a map the entire time. But I do think it could be a little bit
Based on
better
the
presented.
Maybe like different colors
Huber and I
or something.
played it.
Color coordinated.
Huber and I played it before it came out at E3, and that was when I realized, like, oh, this game actually has
Must
good
be nice.
controls. I know, it was lucky. We have blessed lives.
kidding.
I just
But,
want to see ray tracing.
But no, like, you saw it in the demo.
at E3, but
At
it
E3.
that's
It didn't
not,
look as good. It didn't
lights
look
are
as
on
good.
everywhere.
It
yeah,
didn't
not
look
the
as
same.
good.
No.
But also, in that demo, it was really easy to get lost. I think they had the map turned off for obvious like E3 reasons. But because of that, I thought there wasn't going to be a map, and I thought you had to get everywhere based on signage alone.
Yeah.
So when I booted up the game and there was a map, I was like, oh shit, this is great.
I do want to comment on that. I didn't even think about it until you said it, but I'm actually very reliant on the signs. Where
The
a lot
signs
of
are
times,
great.
Yeah.
Where it's a mixture of using the map and then looking at the signs like you would in an office building, and so
Yeah.
it feels very authentic to the environment that you're in. Where you're like, oh, there's all these different departments. Here are these arrows pointing in different ways. I love like. You don't get to do that a lot in games where you just like kind of go up to something and you're like, oh, it's over that way. A lot of times you are either staring at a mini map or opening up a map, and so that part I do like.
Yeah.
Sick.
Yes.
It was really good. And like,
It's a good game.
yeah.
It's
Just
so
the
good.
feeling of it is so cool, man. Ugh.
Yeah.
Ugh. Anyway, we've been talking about Control for like a straight hour.
When I looked at the timer, I was like, oh, wow, we have been talking about it a long time. I didn't even notice. But I think that speaks to the game.
It
One
does.
thing I'm
It
pissed
is
about-
absolutely one of the best games I've played in 2019.
It's a
Oh.
very good game.
Bar none. The one thing I'm pissed about, I'm just really disappointed about it, and I wish I'd like known ahead of time or something. It was like, and it happened to Funhouse too. Apparently, the review copy when they updated it when day one happened,
Yeah.
it deleted my save. I was at the end of the game. I had like 2 missions. I mean, I'd beaten it, but I had like a few things I wanted to still do. And nah, just can't do that.
You gotta start over.
I'll start over. I mean, I got the retail copy with my video card.
Just
so
start over.
I'm just gonna play it on the real version.
You'll
now.
get back there so fast.
Oh yeah, I like kind of want to just start over too.
Me too.
Man, the game gets so crazy.
We have another game to talk about, which just came out today, the day that we're recording this Friday.
I'm downloading it right now.
Yeah. And
Probably
that
gonna hate
game
it.
is called Astral Chain.
Dude, I was wrong. Was wrong about this game.
Huh?
I was like, I don't know, man. Astral Chain. I don't know about it, dude. I don't think it's gonna be that good. Swimming in
was-
sevens, and now all I hear is that this
Like
thing
it's like an 8.9.
is amazing.
It bums me out because there were a couple of times where I defended it on the Easy Allies podcast, and there were just commenters that were just so dismissive of it, and it's like, are you even trying to see what it is? Like this is why everything is a sequel. This is why everything is a remake, because people get this like stupid dismissive start. Like, you're not impressing anybody. You're just being snarky. Give it a chance.
Chance.
It really pisses me off. But anyway,
Preach it.
Do you think it's because it's like anime adjacent? Is that why?
yeah, but,
Exclusive
like-
also, right?
Like,
Is it Switch exclusive? Oh yeah, it is.
It's Switch
exclusives
exclusive.
get a little
but
more
like
heat.
you can't just look at like. We have to be beyond this now. Like, you can't just see anime and assume anything. Like, anime could be take so many different tones and could be so many different quality levels. Like, you gotta dig a little deeper. is
About
all I'm
Code
saying.
Vein, you might be right.
No, but not about Code Vein.
Like, no, I mean like your judgments might be right. Like it's
Yeah.
anime. Pfft,
No, I mean I've played Code Vein enough where I feel
No,
like
yeah,
I'm coming from like I'm
It's
not.
gonna be terrible.
I don't think it's good. I don't know.
It's gonna be
don't dismiss it.
terrible.
It's
Give
just
it a
kind of
chance.
it's
I'm
just
just
kind of
joking.
boring
I'm
so
just
far.
joking. I'm
Got
just
it,
joking.
got it.
It's just kind of boring so far.
But Astral Chain isn't boring.
Astral Chain, yeah. So it's a little bit frustrating. I wish I could come to this frame trap being like, I've played the whole thing, but we did not get a review copy of it.
And
so
you were waiting in those queues.
Thanks.
No, I wasn't
Nintendo.
waiting in those queues.
I meant
I was playing another game that we can't talk about
Chain
yet.
cues.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
What
yeah.
game is it?
It's Iceborne, but we can't talk about Iceborne yet.
But
We can't talk about
wait a
Iceborne.
minute.
We
But
will.
You just talked about it.
I'm sure we will. But anyway, so I've played
That just
some
blew
of
my mind.
Astral Chain, but it has already immensely impressed me. And I really think, like, obviously I like Platinum games, I like character action games, I like this style of game, but I really think ignoring all of that, this game is doing so much that it stands on its own. You know, like ignoring all of that, there's so many cool ideas presented in this game. And
Can I derail you for
yes.
a sec? But also,
Yes.
it's an on-topic derailing.
Yes.
Can you sell me on
That's a show.
on-topic
On-topic
derailings?
derailings.
Can you sell me on the characters / writing and the world? Sell me on like what is like. Attach me to something. Make me want to go home and download this game because I like want to see some of this stuff, you know? Because the
All right.
action
Yeah.
looks cool,
Well,
but I don't know if it's enough for me.
so a tier list of things that I think are really good. I'm most excited to talk about how it plays because that feels the most inventive. But I think beyond that is the vibes.
Yeah.
I think the vibes are strong, and so we can talk about the world
Cool,
and how it
cool,
feels. And I think 3 is like the story and the characters. I think so far the characters are. I think you can have characters that feel straightforward and predictable, but you can do them well enough that they're kind of interesting regardless. So like
Totally.
you pick either male or female, and then your brother or your sister, whichever one you don't pick, you're part of this kind of elite unit of cops, this special forces, and your dad is there, and he's like this silver-haired guy.
Is he like the sergeant or something?
He's above you, and he's extremely worried about his kids because he's like, oh man, I didn't want to get them swept up in this. Like, that's a line of dialogue. Okay, yeah,
all right.
Yeah, so it's like it's a character that you already know,
Yes.
but it's done well enough.
I love this guy.
Where he's like he's super emotional, and he obviously cares about his kids, but he tries to hide it, right? There's some dramatic stuff that happens with him very quickly.
Oh shit!
Where
You
it's
better
like,
not die, dude. Shit.
where you care about your father.
It's how narratives work, dude.
Yeah.
It's how
Anyway.
narratives work.
I think beyond that, the world is really cool because, like, it's not just like you're playing a future cop. You're playing a future cop where you're essentially controlling some unknowable demon. I mean, like, you're a cop in the future, but you're walking around with a literal cyber beast chained to you, you know? So, and that's the thing about Platinum. That's why Platinum is so exciting, is it's like they come up with an idea, and they're like, but what if this? But what if this? And it's just, like... This game, you want to know like how this game opens? The very first moment you get control, you're on a motorcycle shooting at dudes. Like that's you don't
Set the tone.
You don't start the game
Damn
and it's
it,
like
Platinum.
this is how you walk around. It's like I'm on a bike shooting at dudes. So that's really neat. But I was telling Ian, and I don't know if you heard this, but you're in kind of this police station, and I'm actually really pleased with how much interactability there is in the world.
Dude, police station, man?
yeah.
GCPD, let's go.
So in between missions, you kind of have this office that you're in, and you can go around and talk to people. But like you go up to the vending machine, and it's a vendor, and you can buy stuff. You can buy like different buffs that you can use throughout your mission. But you go up, and like just this face appears. And there's an option to like talk to it because you're in the future and you can talk to vending
Awesome.
machines. Yeah.
What's that character
All the
like?
time I would talk
What's
about
Well,
the machine.
it's not really a character. It's kind of just
Like
like
a
this robotic
program?
thing. Yeah.
Got it,
And
got it.
they don't say anything super substantial, but it's still a little, it's a little wrinkle to that creates
Just
the kind of
enough.
ridiculous vibe of Platinum.
Yeah. Visions of Minority Report.
Totally.
When he gets the new eyes and they're like, hello, Mr. Takanawa.
Dude,
or whatever.
Yes. That whole sequence, man.
It's
When he gets
really
the new
cool.
eyes.
Yeah.
Peter Stormare.
Before we talk about the combat, though, you're not just fighting stuff. So they do kind of lean into the cop aspect in some cool ways. Where, like, in the second mission, you show up and you have to investigate what's going on, what happened here. And so you go up and you're like, oh, you find this giant handprint. your legion that you control, like not everybody can see the chimera that you're fighting and then the legion that you can control. So you can use that to your advantage as this future cop, where these regular cops, they don't buy into your stuff at all because they don't trust you, because they don't understand it, because they can't see it. But you can use your legion, and what you actually do is you summon it and you control it with the right stick. You send it out, and your legion eavesdrops on these two guys talking.
Awesome.
You pick it up, and then you go to your dad, and he's like, okay, based on the information you gather, what happened here? And it's very simple. It's not like super complex. It's not like a full-on detective game, but it goes into the role play. Like, you're not just
you're doing
Dante
police-esque
or Bayonetta
stuff.
in this setting. It's a little bit of flavor into the
like
world.
That. I like
and
that
then
a lot.
once you piece it together, you're following tracks to go through.
Very cool.
A little later on, there are these two guys just fighting in the street. And what you do is to break up the fight, you take, and again, with the right stick, you take your legion and you wrap it around these two guys and you literally chain them to get them to stop fighting. And it's like this little, public good that you did.
Yeah.
And I love when things just kind of naturally happen and create moments. This moment, like, it didn't tell me this, it didn't warn me about this, but there were just like some cardboard boxes stacked up. And, video games, you want to hit things. Maybe there's something behind there. I just whacked it, and I was like, it gave me like a -10 to my thing, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm a cop. I shouldn't just go up like beating up.
There's like
stuff
a morality
in the world.
system.
It seems. I haven't fully explored the system,
Yeah.
but based on that interaction, it seems like there's some sort of punishment, like for you being reckless and,
being like
and
a
messing
menace.
up the world. Yeah.
Whoa.
That's funny.
Ben, what's the like? I kind of understand this game. This game seems so wild.
It's really, the story is not very complex so far.
Is the progression like open world, going to quest markers and then grabbing those and doing that, or is it more like
so they present it
chapters
as case files, which you can think of as chapters.
Got
so like you're
Like
going out,
Yakuza?
you're doing a mission,
Got it.
and in between missions you'll come back to the base. Haven't seen the whole thing, don't know how wild or broad
Got it.
the structure gets, but based on my experience so far, that's what it seems like. Cool. But I do want to get to the combat because I do think it's the best part of the game. And what I really like about it, and what seems very different from a lot of Platinum games and other character action games, is your character that you're controlling is not actually that capable. You're not like this like indomitable force. Like, even when you move around, I feel like there's like a little bit of inertia that you have to come with. Like, you dodge, but your dodge isn't like that crazy. And so you're really reliant on your legion. Because your legion can do a bunch of things that you can't do. So you can summon it and you can send it out and it can attack at a distance. And you have like a pistol that you can use, but you don't do as much damage. And you have a baton that you can use to get in there. But you do more damage if you're attacking the unit from behind, and so positioning is really important. But it's the crazy stuff that you could do with the Legion that I think is most exciting. So you know how I said, like, the guys that were fighting on the street, you can wrap around them? You can do that in combat.
Oh, nice.
So let's say you're fighting a bunch of dudes. If there's a big guy or even a little guy, you can try to, like, as you're controlling your character, control your Legion separately, so you're controlling two things at the same time. If you can draw a circle around them, they'll get stunned. And then you and your Legion can beat them up. And then in a boss fight that happens in the second mission, he'll constantly charge at you. You and your Legion are attached by a chain. If you spread out, the boss will run into your chain, and you and your Legion will kind of form this slingshot. And because he was charging and he hit your chain, you'll fling him and stun him. You can do that to other enemies as well.
Nice.
And so it's just like, you're not that capable on your own. How can you use this other being that you're tethered to create advantageous situations for yourself?
Devil May Cry 5 really, the combat specifically really opened up as the game went on. Like, where you begin to where that game ends is like the combat opportunities expand so much.
Yeah.
Does Astral Chain follow a similar thing where, like, eventually you're going to have a lot more to do, or do they kind of give you the tools right away and you just become a little stronger as you go on?
Well, you get through over time, and I haven't experienced this yet. I have Legion. I have the first, like, your first, like, buddy. You get more that are of different types. And even though I don't have them throughout the world, it's like, hey, you need this type of thing. So there's reason to come back.
Cool.
There are things that you can explore, almost Metroidvania style. And so, yeah, you'll get different types of creatures that presumably have different functions in combat. But what I will say is at the beginning of the game where you don't have your buddy, I was like, this doesn't feel very good. And your buddy like has his own kind of health. And so he can get hit. And if you have him out too long, he'll have to cool down, basically. It'll be a little bit before you summon him again. And so you're also managing this thing because you really need him to do well. And the times when you don't have him around, you feel kind of that panic and that vulnerability that you have, which is really cool.
Nice.
So,
yeah. I'm starting to be sold on this game, Ben.
Right. Yeah. I really think
cool.
I think there's a lot going on.
The only reason I was put at arm's distance is because, one, I assumed it would be like 100 hours. That was the main thing.
Yeah.
And then two, I wasn't really sold on if it'd be great because Platinum is amazing, but sometimes, like Teenage Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
It's kind of lacking. And
I think,
wow.
I guess what I was maybe cautiously worried about is like, I really like Devil May Cry. I really love Bayonetta. I will sing the praises of those games all day. I was worried, and even going from something like Devil May Cry to Bayonetta, it's a jump that makes sense, right? Where it's like this thing is building off another. Astral Chain feels very different. It's not like everything that I know is applying to this. I feel like I'm learning a new type of combat.
Yeah.
And I think like it's adjacent to that stuff Platinum has done before, but it's not the same. And because of that, it's not like I'm just doing the same thing in a different way. I feel like I'm actually having to use different skills.
It sounds a lot more strategic. Like you have to like do stuff and
and
circle them up and stuff.
It feels like it kind of feels like V in Devil May Cry 5, where at first
V.
it was like it took me a bit to kind of get comfortable with managing your different pets. That's kind of how it feels here, where like. Because you're just learning the game, right? Like at first, it's enough of a struggle just trying to dodge attacks. Well, now I'm trying to dodge attacks and control this thing, and pull it to me and send it out and dismiss it. And so that management, feels very different and very.
Do they ever do the joke where it cuts to normal cops watching you interacting with some ghost or whatever that they can't see, and like you go flying past, and they're all just like, huh? Or something like that, like where things are happening that people can't see, the normal people can't see.
I don't know how much they've played it as a joke, but there's definitely been an emphasis on like, hey, you can't see this.
I want there to be that joke at least one time.
Yeah.
Like you meet a new friend cop or something, and like he believes
like a very
you,
obvious
but
thing to do. But
I want there to be like a cop that believes you and is really fun and nice, but can't see it.
Totally. I need that character in there.
That character would be really fun.
I need the character on the normal police force to be epic.
You,
Yes.
Yeah, it's
how long are we talking, Ben?
I don't know. I feel like I read like looking at information pre-release and other things that people had put out about the game. I think we're talking about 15 hours.
15?
15?
That's it?
I don't know.
Okay.
You're asking, like I said,
yeah.
unfortunately, I wish
True.
my impressions could be more detailed.
They were very detailed considering how late you got this game, Ben.
I mean,
don't
it
beat
came
yourself
out
up.
today.
Exactly.
And we did, it's not like we.
Are you reviewing it?
Yeah, I'm gonna. Yes.
Okay. I
gotta get the.
You got
I got it. I preloaded it,
Got it.
and so it was
Still.
last night at 9 p.m.
Less than 24 hours.
Yeah. So, it was what happened is last night. So we were in the studio yesterday, and I was so excited to play Astral Chain. And I played it for a little bit, but I was like, I am too tired to play this well.
Yeah.
Like, I need to be well rested to play this game.
crap.
Oh.
And so I was like, I'm not really helping myself by trying to enjoy it and trying to learn when I'm just so exhausted. Yeah. So I played a little bit of it last night and then played more of it today and have a lot more to play. I'm still very early.
So it's way more action than RPG.
Yes, absolutely.
See, yeah, man. I don't know why, man. Maybe it was on me for not looking at it before it came out enough. But I just for whatever reason, just didn't know what this game was.
Yeah, it's
I was like, what?
To be fair, I think I kind of wrote it off immediately. I'm downloading it now, and like from what you're saying, it sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, I think with Control, there are things I can point to and be like, yeah, the storytelling here is really clever and smart. I can't say so far the same thing about Astral Chain. Like, it's a very simple story so far. Like,
The dad sounds great.
yeah, I can't say anything is like genius about its storytelling, but a lot of its genius comes through its mechanics. And even early on, like, I love that. Even not being that far into the game, I can sit here and be like, hey, here are all the reasons why it's special. Here are the things that have already happened to me that have stood out. I think that is the mark of a good game. So, but I've got some bad news for you guys. The demons of the frame trap realm have identified an object of power.
Oh.
An OOP.
An OOP.
OOP.
It is your Batman the Animated Series t-shirt.
I warned you, dude.
They're recognizing the strength of that thing.
If anybody needs the complete watch order for the Batman Animated Series universe, I got you covered. Just tweet me.
Is it not just the order of the show?
So when the show initially came out, they aired them out of production order.
Damn it, Fox.
But then when
it was Fox, right?
Yeah.
They always do that.
But then when the Blu-rays and the DVDs and everything came out, they put them in the correct order. But there's also the movies to account for. There's Superman, Justice League, Batman Beyond. There's kind of a...
Is Man-Bat still first?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Man-Bat #1.
I gotta watch this Blu-rays.
What we're doing today, I've been doing a lot of real or fake games, but this idea came to me and I couldn't let it go. I knew we were going to be talking about Control a lot. So I have real or fake Max Payne quotes.
Sick. Oh my god, if I don't get 100%, I am a failure.
And so that's what
No pressure.
Jeez. What we're going to be doing. So the rules of it are you have to basically I'm going to put you both down, you're going to say real or fake, and then I'm going to tally up, and then the one who wins, or if you both win, you will break us out of the frame trap.
Okay.
Is this Max Payne 1 and 2 or Max Payne 1, 2, and 3?
Great question. So this is just Max Payne 1.
Just one? Okay.
Just Max Payne 1.
Okay.
Wow. Okay.
All right, here we go. These are going to be
trying
ridiculous.
to remember back.
We'll see how well I
Man,
did.
what year did that come out?
Like
96?
2001?
2001.
I
That was
think.
way too early.
Yeah. All right. The first one is the sun went down with practice bravado.
Ooh, that's really good.
That seems true.
Yeah, is that
Yeah.
real?
It's real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Both on the board. I don't know about angels, but it's fear that gives men wings.
True, 100%.
True. Yeah, true.
You're both right.
Memorable line.
See no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil, but sometimes you sure can smell it.
False.
Ooh. I want it to be real, but I'll say false.
That's false. That was me.
I've got to stop just doing what you're... That was good. I like that one.
Oh, man, I thought that one might trip you guys up. All right. After Y2K, the end of the world had become a cliche. But who was I to talk? A brooding underdog Avenger, alone against an empire of evil, out to right a grave injustice.
True.
The Y2K throws me off
A little, yeah.
considerably, but everything else sounds right. So reluctantly, I'm going to say true.
It's true.
Yeah.
You're both
Okay.
completely tied up. The very last one.
Uh-oh.
Will you pull through together or one pull ahead? The gunshots flared like violent exclamation marks.
True, 100%.
Punching through whatever false virtue was on display.
True.
True.
It's false.
What?
actually.
The gunshot exclamation points.
Good job, Ben.
So it sounded real, but maybe it is real, but I had quotes pulled up and I did a Control F and I looked. So again, the gunshots flared like violent exclamation marks, punching
sounds
through
like-
whatever false virtue was on display.
Damn it.
Damn, Ben, that's good.
That's a really good one.
You should write a fanfic.
You had me.
But we're tied still.
You're tied.
We got
so,
out of there.
Cooperatively, you will
4
have
or
to
5.
break us out of the frame trap. Think of a way, maybe a remedy way. It doesn't have to be, but maybe a remedy way to break us out of the frame trap. Well, I'll give you time to think because we have some wonderful sponsors of this very program. Our first sponsor is Greg, TheDarkKnight Kettering. Thank you, Greg.
Thanks for the shirt, Greg.
Oh, he sent it to you. Nice.
Very sure. It's an object of power,
It's an object
Greg.
of power, Greg.
Be more careful in the future.
Our next sponsor is ZOTAG. Do you play Final Fantasy XIV? Are you on the Crystal Data Center? Search at ZOTAG, that's XOTIG, on Twitter for a link to the EZA Crystal Discord server. Thank you, ZOTAG. Next, we've got JoJo's Dent Co. Thank you, JoJo's Dent Co. After that, we have Accounts Payable, who is going to give us a free shout-out. We can shout out anything. Anybody have a shout-out?
Jesse Faden.
Jesse
dude.
Faden, dude.
Jesse
Shout
Faden.
out.
You really got Huber with that one.
Nice.
Thank you, Accounts Payable. Next, we have Gift of Heaven, which is a free 3DS RPG which tries to be as funny as Earthbound, efficient as Chrono Trigger, and epic as Final Fantasy VI. Gift of Heaven quadruples every data limit of RPG Maker FES using passwords to unite 4 game files as one bold explosion. O.M. Hawkstelter is cooking the rip-roaring, full-blast, Tolkien, Potter, Forrest Gump combo meal you deserve to eat, and them Hawkstelters don't skip on the shrimp. Gift of Heaven's 43-minute promotional short film, Symphonia Anathema, is available on the official Gift of Heaven YouTube channel, along with a very special prologue launch trailer. After 618 hours of development, you can finally download Gift of Heaven's spicy, chunky prologue onto your 3DS for free using the RPG Maker FES 3DS application, the app. Just search for the nickname O.M.Hawk, like the bird, HAWK. Also, please check out the thread on the Easy Allies official forums. Thank you so much, Gift of Heaven. Congratulations for getting that. Next, we have a sponsor who would like to shout out the Scleroderma Foundation, which is a qualified national nonprofit whose primary goal is to raise funds for the threefold mission of support, education, and research. Scleroderma is a rare chronic connective tissue disease most commonly characterized by hardening of the skin. The foundation has 20 active chapters and 160 support groups across the United States. Find out more in the link in the description. This sponsorship is in memory of the best grandma around.
Shout out.
Our last but certainly not least regular sponsor is Alex AI. I keep clanking my cup. Looking to widen your Game Boy Advance soundtrack collection? Check out the Shin Megami Tensei Demi Kids Dark Light and support the Allies. Cool.
I was looking to do that.
Were you?
Yeah.
Our mega sponsor is ViewSonic. It goes without saying that gaming relies on fast reaction times, and if you're often finding yourself on the losing end of those nail-biting standoffs, the problem might not be your performance.
It is.
Might be, I was going to say it's mine. It might be your
That's the
monitors.
problem.
With ViewSonic Elite's expansive line of gaming monitors, users are delivered the performance modern gaming requires. Take the 24-inch XG240R with its blazing fast 144 Hz refresh rate and 1 millisecond response time. You'll experience the hyper-responsiveness of esports pros. And with the XG240R's fully customizable RGB backlighting, users can sync to partnered hardware to illuminate their gaming atmosphere. Learn more about ViewSonic Elite by visiting viewsonic.com/elite, and for giveaways and updates, follow at ViewSonic Gaming on social media.
Nice.
Did you think of a way to get us out of here,
We did.
Mr. Object of Power?
Yeah. We have to do a ritual.
That was pretty clever. That was pretty clever and nice and subtle. You know, I like that. All right, man. We have a pretty tempting list of things to talk about. It's hard to know where to go next. But
Rocket speed.
Hubert, you've been playing something that like even just reading the name.
Yeah. Say it. Say it, man.
Hubert, they can't hear you right now.
Did you just break the desk?
No.
You've been. It delights me to say that you've been playing Hollow Knight.
Yeah. Hollow Knight. Took me long enough.
Yeah, I gotta finish.
This game pumps me the hell up, dude.
You get it, but you get it,
Dude. So I played it when it came out on Switch for a couple hours. Life happened. Had to move on.
Life happens.
I'm back in action. I'm like 7 hours in. This game is unbelievably good. And you know, I never doubted you guys. I remember I was on a frame trap with, I think it was you and Bloodworth early on.
Ben was probably there.
Yeah, Jones's Garage. You
Yeah.
guys were talking about it. It sounds so amazing. I was like, God, I want to play this. You guys hyped it up so hard. And I was like, man, I bet that game is amazing, blah, 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 blah. Can't wait to play it. But I'm playing it now. It's even better than I had imagined.
That's the thing. That's the thing about
It's
Hollow
like-
Knight is.
You hyped it up the most possible, and it's
Yeah.
still even better.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
Yeah, everything about it, just the progression, the way you have to earn your progression in this.
I feel like you have to earn everything in that game.
You have
It's
to earn
hard.
It is, dude. Like, I've been playing a lot of Metroidvanias, I feel like, in the last couple years, and just the way you explore in Hollow Knight and progress it's so rewarding and so challenging, but not in an annoying way. And I think that's really hard to nail in Metroidvanias, you know?
Right.
Having to backtrack or you know, recover your money or anything.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes that can be really annoying and frustrating, but I think unlocking the fast travel points, like the little worm tunnel guy and all the benches and stuff. It's just really nicely laid out, but also really challenging.
Yeah, I love that. I feel like you don't have to literally and like precisely understand what is going on exactly in the world and with the characters to feel like you're getting so much out of it. And that's because of the way that they contextualize everything. Like you fast traveling around isn't just like opening up a map and hitting a point. It's like you're riding on this giant beetle. And it feels like part of this world. It feels like this thing that they built, this massive structure. It's a sight to behold when you do it. And it would be this like extremely simple task in another game.
Chills, dude.
Yeah.
The way he gives you like lore on
Right.
each spot you open up. He's
Right.
like, oh man, people used to come through here. Like, just all these little story tidbits.
And you going back to where you died, it's not like you're just picking something up. You're fighting the spirit of yourself, and
Yeah,
you're wondering
that's a
what the
cool
hell is going.
touch.
Like
I
everything feels like it's contributing to this sense of place.
and rewarding the exploration. Like,
yeah.
dude, I found for no reason, I just didn't know where the hell I was, found some blacksmith, upgraded my weapon. I was just like, yes, dude, I needed that.
Yes.
Like, it felt so good. Anytime a game can make me feel that good for finding something or earning something, like, it's special.
I would get lost in that game like no other game, but I wasn't like mad about it. Yeah. I was
You're
like,
like-
where the hell is this boss?
You're like, am I supposed to be here? I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah. The last thing I did was freaking intense, and the game went from a 10 to me to an 11. It was the boss fight against the 3 dudes in the chair sitting up there.
Oh yeah.
You fight
I know
one,
what you're talking about.
You fight one, and then you fight 2.
There's a
Dude, that fight was so sick.
there's a
think
boss
I got
fight
to
that I
that
really want to talk to you about once you get to it. Yeah.
I loved that boss fight.
Yeah.
Definitely the highlight of the game so far. Pretty early on. It's like 5 hours in or 6 hours in or so.
There are some incredible boss fights. There are boss fights. I mean that felt like walls, but like
that felt like a wall. I died like 4 or 5 times and was like, dude, I gotta mix it up. Change out my my crests.
Yeah.
Or my
I
notch
love
things.
how for you guys dying 4 or 5 times feels like a wall. I feel like in games I'll die like 20 times to a boss.
it's
and be
been
like,
like,
"Ah!"
yeah.
Trying to think who. I think Bloodstarved Beast killed me a bunch of times.
Bloodstarved
again, so-
Beast,
yeah.
Bloodstarved Beast though is like one of my favorite bosses ever because it was so brutally hard.
Yeah, dude.
But now that you like understand
It's
it,
like-
you can just
yeah.
destroy it.
Yeah.
That I don't know if I've ever had that dramatic
Yeah.
of a response
It went
to a
from
boss fight
impossible
before,
to
where
so
the first time I
doable.
played it, I was like, "Are you serious?
Yeah.
Like, are you serious?"
What the hell?
And then
Miyazaki?
like the second time that I did that boss fight, I was like, "A baby could be."
Yeah. Easy.
It was crazy.
Like I feel like I'm nowhere near the best at Souls in our group, but like I've flawlessed Bloodstarved Beast before.
Yeah.
And like I never thought that would happen.
Is Bloodstarved Beast? Which one's Bloodstarved Beast and Cleric Beast? They're 2 different.
Cleric
Yes,
Beast
they're-
is the
first one.
one on the bridge, and
then-
Bloodstarved is in where you get the
Down in there, there's like a little
the
like.
first chalice or whatever.
Okay.
it's like that chapel.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The little
it's
chapel
like
down there.
Kind of, it's actually
Yeah.
optional,
Yeah.
but it's where you first see werewolves.
For sure.
But yeah, like just swinging your nail, even if you're swinging at nothing, the sound that it makes, and then the like squish that you hear every time you hit something, like the game just gives you so much good feedback, and that's why like I don't know, I don't really think there were any parts where I was mentioned. There is to get the true ending. There's some stuff that is pretty
Oh
wild.
no.
I heard Damiani talking about that, and he sounded like it
no.
was like really hard.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
It's really hard. I think that I might have been frustrated there. I think for
Okay.
sure. Yeah.
Because the version I have too, the Void Heart Edition, it has like the 3 DLC things, like the circus thing, or I don't know how that factors into true ending, or
Yeah, that's not necessarily. There's DLC that I haven't done. There's
Silk
still
Song
stuff I
is-
need to do in Hollow Knight, but like to get the quote unquote good
true
ending.
ending. Okay.
Yeah.
'Cause I did it
Some-
in,
there's some hoops to
Bloodstained.
jump through.
And that wasn't too annoying.
Yeah.
Which I liked.
I feel like it's not super obvious here.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like Bloodstained.
Really obscure. I looked it up.
It felt like it wasn't that obscure.
I asked Brad. He was like, "All right, you should."
With the
Unless
like
there's another true ending that I didn't do. Talk about it later.
okay, yeah.
Pretty sure I did.
talk about it later.
Pretty sure I did.
Sure. Well, we might as well like not spoil True Ending.
Yeah,
might
let's
as
not
well-
spoil it.
let's
Let's
not
not
spoil
spoil
it.
it.
Let's
But
not
anyway,
spoil it.
the
You're playing.
economy,
Yeah.
the exploration, all this stuff, the money feels really good. Buying things feels good. I love the way you have to buy all the map icons and all that.
Right.
All these crests feel really valuable and meaningful, but then like the notch cost is just really balanced well. Like everything about this game is just, I'm obsessed.
Yeah, I feel like I've encountered people who are like, hey, I don't like it that when you kill an enemy, the money bounces everywhere, and if you want to bring it to you, you've got to use these crests to
Gotta
get
pay the
around
price.
it. Right, and I just like I love how steep of a cost.
Yeah, I love the
Yeah.
money
The
game
flying
is,
everywhere.
Stingy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it's something where I'm like, I kind of see where you're coming from. It is annoying, but like
I like that.
you got to make the
annoyingness.
hardest of choices,
Yeah.
and like you're going to suffer in some way.
Totally, because if you want that thing, then you got to
Yeah.
sacrifice like the length of your attack or something, which is so important.
I feel like you're chipping away at this
Chipping
at
away.
the perfect time
Yeah.
because Silk Song is right around the corner.
Yep.
Silk Song's a sequel now,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
It was gonna be a DLC, and now
It's
they're
its
just like
own
it's huge.
new game.
Yeah.
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 Really cool. She shows up really early. I'm
She's cool.
excited to like track her storyline going into the next one because like she's come up like once or twice. I've like seen her around.
She's neat.
Yeah,
Hollow Knight.
it is a legendary game.
It
that
is
I'm
a
obsessed
legendary
with.
game. There are a lot of games that we talk about at Easy Allies, and like Game of the Year, you say your 10 favorite games. Hollow Knight is like a level beyond that for me. Like it's not just great. There's something about it. Like I'm never going to.
Like,
I think for years, if you say Hollow Knight, I'm going to be like,
yeah,
You should bring
like
it to Hall of Grades.
like Beth came in the living room and was like, "What
I
are you?"
thought about it.
Like, what is this? What are you playing? I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh, it came out a few years ago. It's just this modern masterpiece.
No big deal.
Just a modern classic."
Modern masterpiece.
Well, there are areas in that game that will stick with you for completely different reasons, and I think at the beginning, like that opening town and kind of that first area that you're exploring around is really cool, but it seems like almost pedestrian compared to some of the late game
Yeah,
areas.
nervous.
Uh,
Hard game.
and they're exciting for completely different ways, and I don't want to spoil any of it. Like, if you can just take it on our word that it will
Play this game.
captivate you,
Play this
like,
game.
don't have anything spoiled. I feel
Yeah.
like we've already said too much.
Play this game.
For
sure.
It's a game
We
where
have
like the
not-
sights and sounds are enough that you don't want them to be ruined.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did I ever tell you about
Play
the
it.
crazy moment? Like crazy, because sometimes in our business here, like you forget that developers are also like human beings that might hear the things you say.
Yeah.
You know? And like I was at E3 and some guys came over and they're like, hey, we make Hollow Knight and we think you should really give it a chance. We know that you don't like it when games pause for a second when you get hit. But we think that you can look past it.
Yeah.
We really think you'd
I
like this
remember
game.
that.
And I was like, this is too weird. But they were right
What?
that I could look past it. And
Yeah.
it's like a really, really good game. Life happened. I haven't finished it yet. but,
Because
like,
I heard it's like 25 hours.
It's
I was
long,
not
yeah.
expecting that when I first started it back then. I was like, whoa, dude. Like, I thought we were dealing with like 8 to 10 here, like
Yeah.
Metroidvania.
It's a big old
Whoa.
game.
So,
I
it's
will
long.
not get into it specifically, but I think when your primary thing that you do is you play video games, like things kind of become predictable.
Mm-hmm.
Like you get to a point where it's like I don't really need to tell you to tell me the controls because I'm sure like the way that you shoot and move and do all this stuff
It's one of three
functions this way. And you have to be careful because you need to have some sort of template. If something works, you don't need to reinvent the wheel, right? And so, but I think you run into a danger where things kind of feel like a different flavor of the same thing. And it's not that doesn't have merit, but Hollow Knight is taking an immensely familiar template and there's so much magic in it. There are so many moments where it's like, you are surprising me. I can't believe that happened. Or like, and it's not just combat. It's not just larger than life bosses. It's not the ways that you think. It's like NPCs that show up or how you can interact with them or even just places that you can go within the world. Like, it's like I can see the people behind the game and they're like, I want to see their faces when they get to this part. And that to me is like magical. That is
Totally.
video game magic. That transcends like this like bullet point list of things that you can describe that are good. It's not like, yeah, it's it's $15 and it's like 60 hours, so that's pretty cool. It's like, no.
You can like level up and customize.
Like, I need to sit you
like
down. I need to take 50 hours of your life, and you just need to experience this. And yeah, I don't have enough good things to say about Hollow Knight. It's amazing. Huber, you just reignited me, man. It's like you lit the flame.
I was excited.
all over
I was
again.
like, oh man, Ben's gonna be so pumped.
Yeah.
Hollow Knight.
Yeah.
Hollow Knight hype.
All
Loving
right.
it.
Ian, let's go in a wild and weird direction. You've been playing the new Magic the Gathering Commander set, which I don't know anything about.
So sick.
But I like Magic. I've actually never played Commander.
Dude, I really like Commander. Sophia
What is Commander?
is really into it. All right, I'll explain Commander. Commander is a Magic the Gathering variant where you have 100 card decks.
Whoa.
You can't have duplicates.
Whoa.
Every card is unique. And you start with 40 health, and it's traditionally played with 4 people, and it's an all 4v everyone versus everyone.
This is amazing.
Yeah, it's great. We should play it for occasional board game show or something. But you like politicking is like kind of part of it, like making deals,
Nice.
like uneasy alliances, dude. It's like
Nice,
what it's all about.
nice.
And like every year they come out with a Commander set of 4 pre-con decks, constructed decks, and this year they're pretty good.
Pretty good.
Yeah, they're not like amazing or anything. Like Tolarian Community College or whatever does.
I've watched his
the professor.
videos.
Yeah, he does a thing about the value. So if you're interested, check that out. These are the card values. If you sold the decks, you would make a little money. But it's like, I mean, I don't care about that. But like, the concepts of these decks is just kind of fun. Like one of them uses morph. My favorite uses morph cards where you play
Old
things
staple.
face down.
Yep.
Yeah, and then your opponents don't know what it is, and then if you've got mana available, someone's attacking you. You flip your card over and like, oh, all of a sudden it's this huge creature, or like, oh, it's an enchantment that makes this other creature invincible. Like.
Right.
Things you just don't expect. That's really cool. And like one deck just puts out like crazy tokens, huge like 10/10 creatures that duplicate themselves.
It's always amazing to me how well through card game mechanics they can convey the identity of like a creature or like an idea even.
Yeah.
Trample.
And the
Right.
Yeah.
Love
Yes,
Trample.
yes, yes.
Trample's bonkers. You'd like this token deck. But the other thing about Commander is it's called Commander because you have a commander. And you can use any
like
legendary
a planeswalker or
I haven't seen one that's a planeswalker, but like you can use any actually I don't think you could use a planeswalker. You can use any legendary creature. Maybe you can use never thought about it. Any legendary creature can be a commander, and everything in the deck can only be the same mana colors that are on the commander.
Cool.
And so
he
usually
dictates your deck. Got
usually you have a 3-color deck. But the cool thing is the commander isn't part of your library, and when it dies, it just goes back to the command zone, and you can play it again anytime for a little more if it's died. But the general idea is the commander has skills that are sort of like exemplary of the core mechanic of your deck, like the central idea.
This
they
sounds
like bolster.
so fun.
Yeah, it's
Warcraft
fun,
3 vibes
dude.
right here.
It's fun
Hero
as hell.
units.
Yeah, the hero unit. Basically, it's like this hero unit makes the first time you pay a morph creature free or whatever.
Is there a black, red, and green combo deck?
Yes.
Yes. Can I dibs that one if we do
I
occasional
think
board
that
game?
might be the token one.
Dude.
So your
Don't
favorite
jump down my throat.
deck type is red, black, green?
Well, because he said this is try, so usually I'll do red and green or solo black.
Yeah.
But if it's a 3-color deck, then just throw them all in there.
I also like solo black. Black
Yeah.
and red are kind of where I land.
Funny. I usually
like
do black
green.
and green.
Red and green because red has so many big boys.
If you're
Did I say green?
if you're a control
red?
blue player,
Green has so many big
Green
boys.
I
has
just
big
don't
boys,
think
yeah.
we're gonna get along. Sometimes blue decks just frustrate me. to the
Blue,
ends of the-
if you're a blue, like water and plains,
Fun police.
What?
Fun
love
police.
Wait.
Planes are fun.
Yeah, white's all right.
White's fun.
dude.
Black and white is hilarious. I love black white.
I'm getting nightmares already. I'm getting
We should play this.
flashbacks.
Let's play this.
Exalted Angel, like cycling.
Listen, it doesn't take very much convincing to get me to play Magic. All
Yeah.
right.
Let's play Commander.
All right. Right now?
I would play right
I don't
now.
have him with me.
I would honestly
I don't
play
have him
right
with
now.
me. I had him in my bag the other day. They're at Sophia's now.
I've told you guys a million times, Magic is the thing where if you come to my house at 2 a.m. and ask to play, I'll play. Anytime.
One of these days, somebody's going to take you up.
Seriously.
I would never do that, but okay.
Anytime. I'm basically saying I'm open for business with Magic the Gathering
Let's do
at
it.
all times.
Let's do it, B.
Okay.
When are we doing it?
I don't know.
We'll talk about it later.
Occasional board game
This
show.
should be the first occasional board game show.
Not Resident Evil?
We're all ready to play right now. Let's go.
The thing about Magic that's dangerous,
Let's
though,
go.
is if we make it the first episode, we're just going to be like, well, maybe we'll do another one.
Maybe it's just the Magic the Gathering show now.
Yeah, I think, because Magic is something that I think for us, we're always at the precipice of. Like, there's
Yeah.
a mountain that we've almost completely fallen down.
Yeah. Here's the thing though with doing occasional board game show with Magic is there's a really amazing. I encourage you to check them out. It's phenomenal. A really amazing YouTube channel called Command Zone, and they do Magic the Gathering and usually Commander stuff. Their videos are so well made, it like makes me depressed. And like each video takes them like a month to make.
Wow.
Which like is not doable for us. Like occasional board game show, hopefully will be good. It's not going to be as good as Command Zone.
Don't you
An
hate
HBO
that?
documentary.
But it's
coming
just,
out.
well, it's like that's what they do. Like
Yeah.
that's like what they do.
No,
Whoa,
I know
sorry.
exactly the feeling that you're describing, though, where like,
They don't have to make a game show and a weekly show and a bunch of reviews and a bunch of like on
And a
top
bunch of
of it.
streams.
I feel like every once in a while, like you run into a bunch of things where you're like, yeah, that's pretty good. I really like what you did there. But every once in a while, I run into a thing where it's like,
Damn it.
damn it, like I
Dude,
just
that's so
can't
good.
do that. Yeah,
I just don't like. I can't. I
know.
could. I just don't have the time.
Right, right.
Like I know what they're doing. Like it's not that complicated.
Even
It's
if
just,
I
like,
had
so
the
well
time,
done.
I couldn't do it.
You know,
I did. They had TV windows, and it was part of the inspiration for the TV windows that we do in the.
I feel like
streaming stage.
I've been bringing this up a couple times. I brought up an easy update, but Fiona Apple was one of those where I'm like the quality of these lyrics, like how well they're written. There's an artistry to this that like is awe-inspiring, and I will never
it's
be able to
amazing.
write something like that beautiful. Ugh.
I don't know. Those Max Payne quotes are pretty good.
Really good. Real quick question though: is this the first time Magic has released this type of game mode?
No. It's
Okay.
been around forever.
Okay.
It's been around, I don't know when it started, but it's been around for like a long time.
Back in the day when I used to play, we did. I think we called it towers or something. We would
Okay.
do we would do 3-on-3, but you had to destroy the two side people first, and
Oh,
then
whoa.
the person in the middle was like the main tower.
How did you decide who got to be on the middle?
One of my friends was like all-time middle because he was a savant
Really
at
good.
Magic the Gathering, and then
I've
we
played,
would just rotate all the other.
I've played Two-Headed Monster, where you have like 2v2 and you're on
Yeah.
like a co-op.
So fun.
That's fun.
At Game Trailers, we used to do drafts.
Yeah.
And that would really bring people together in
We,
a way that was very fun.
Sophia may have a bunch of unstable boxes that we've been waiting to do a draft with. Just saying.
We gotta play Magic.
Be a hell of a
Ian,
stream.
I don't need any convincing.
Yeah.
Uh,
you don't need to convince me.
Sorry, Ian. I feel a little guilty because this has just kind of sprung into like a love of Magic stuff. But is there anything more specifically that you want to say about these commander sets?
That's about it. I mean,
Okay.
like there are 4. They're probably not like the best precons, and they're precons. Like the mana ramp is bad. Like Professor talks about that. But
Yeah.
like, the morph is really cool. Each one has like a cool little identity. One of them's all about like discarding cards and getting a cool engine going with that. There's
Can
a
you
really
make
good, if you're
your
curious-
own deck?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
Well,
oh,
I mean, like the
100,
serious
yeah.
people do.
That
Like,
would be-
yeah, and like
whew, that's
the
a task.
precons are sort of the idea behind the precons is like they're really good introductions.
Yeah.
And like if we did an episode, we'd probably just play them straight. But like the idea behind them is like an introduction, and then you can like upgrade them
Yeah.
with like better cards and like get your mana ramp better and stuff like that.
Here's what I'm worried about with Magic.
Yo.
Because I can sometimes get obsessive with things, and when you get obsessed with things, the meta pokes out of the ground, and you start to worry about the
Ye
meta,
old meta.
and what's strong, and keeping up with
Magic
the meta.
like invented them.
it becomes this ravenous beast, and I think Magic, in my experience, it has been the most fun where you're just playing with friends, and it's like it's my vampires versus your dinosaurs, and obviously.
That's my kind of magic.
Yeah. And so I guess
Brad's brother
that's
had
what
a
I'm,
samurai deck.
Yeah.
I worry about the ever looming meta, if that
There's
makes
a-
sense to you.
Huber, there's
Totally.
a Command Zone episode where they do, I think it's a commander, where one guy does a bear deck. He just makes a deck. They're like jank decks, but he's like, I just did all the every card that has a bear in the art. He put in his
Dude.
deck, and I was like, Huber,
Send me that. Send me that. I'm
I need
making
to
that.
find that
I'm making
video.
that.
Can we just appreciate like how fucking incredible some Magic art is,
dude.
Like,
Magic,
shout
is
out.
just- yeah,
Oh,
dude.
and
Shout out to
Some of
all
it
the
is
to the
Magic
point
artists.
where
Amazing.
sometimes it's a bad thing because
Yeah.
there are giant spiders
Oh, they're
that
gross.
look horrifying.
I thought you were gonna say because the cards are bad, but the art is
And
so
they- and,
good.
like-
you just want it in your deck.
like Ellis Norn. Look up
they
Ellis
keep
Norn.
bringing back these giant spiders, and they should just
That's a crazy. It's
leave
not a
them
spider.
be.
But it's crazy art.
Yeah,
Anyway, Magic is dope.
it is dope. It is dope. I wonder if we've like upset people with our casual Magic talk. Probably. Whatever.
I mean,
No
like
way.
I don't claim to be a Magic expert, you know,
Certainly
like,
not.
but
No.
I'm
Me
an
either.
enthusiast.
Yeah.
You know, I enjoy some Magic.
I want to play right now.
Me
I
too.
would.
I'm ready.
I like Magic.
Man, I just thinking of like in a person on person Magic game, and that's some of the magic that you lose when you play online.
Yeah.
Is you just the way
The
that your
arena is
demeanor
pretty good.
changes and like the little conversations that you have, like your turn over, or
Turn.
Yeah.
I
Pass for turn.
tap this and then to make this happen, and it's just like it becomes its own
All right,
little language.
language. Tap this.
Yeah.
The little jolt of energy that
Yeah.
you get when you know you're about to pull off something just devastating.
Or when
you just like I tap all
you've
of
got
them.
like that instant in your hand that
Yeah.
is like, all right, I can't wait to spring this
Yeah,
on.
yeah,
Or-
yeah.
yeah.
Or how intimidating is it when your opponent is your buddy and they don't even say a word, but they just like silently tap all their mana.
Right. You get that one point in the game where you got like all these tokens and you just have like the well, I gotta use my palms. Yeah.
The best is and Commander is like about this where it's like crosstalk, like table talk, where like someone's about to like they're like looking at you and then you're like, my deck is black green and I have a bunch of mana open. I'm just saying, do what you want. Do what you want. Feel
Right.
free. Feel free. I'm just saying.
It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. I want to talk a little bit about a game that I have revisited. It's now out. It's 1.0, and that is the Hunt Showdown.
Hunt
Oh,
Showdown.
I'm so curious
dude.
about this game.
Yeah,
Shout
you
out to
should be.
Sohinki.
Yeah, so
So
last
hinky.
Shout
weekend I was playing some Hunt Showdown, and my initial experience with Hunt Showdown was not good. Not necessarily because of the game, a little bit because of the game, but I'll just tell you. So the Hunt was very intimidating when I initially played it. At some point in the distant past, where it was still in early access, it was fairly early days of early access, if I remember correctly, and I didn't understand what the hell was going on.
Yeah.
And I queued up, and I was with a random person. And he like knew that I was new and then just killed me immediately. And I was like, well, this is
I had the exact opposite.
this is a bad experience.
I hopped in, same point, early access way back then, hopped in, and my partner was like oh my God, I wish I friended this guy. He was the best. He was like, hey, have you played before? I'm like, no. He's like, okay, check it out. You want to do this, then you want to do this. All right, follow me, but be careful because they're going to be over there. He was like so into it and fast. I was like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, this
And
is
high
amazing.
on cocaine, apparently.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying I had a bad initial experience and it was frustrating and it definitely torpedoed my interest in playing the game. But now revisiting it, the idea of it is so amazing. And they've really kind of softened the blow in a way that I appreciate, where until you get to like, I believe it's like player rank 11, somewhere around there. With the Hunt, one of the big things about it is you're going and you're trying to get these bounties on these monsters, but you're competing with other people to try to get the bounties. And both the monsters, the big monsters that you're hunting, and then little monsters can kill you, and other people, kind of battle royale style, can also kill you. And if you die, you lose your hunter. You lose everything.
Oh.
But they've made it so now, hey, we're going to give you a buffer period as you're learning the game. You won't lose your hunter, so you can you feel like you're making progress even if you're dying.
Wait, you lose your
you
character?
don't- You lose your yeah. So basically, the way that it goes is like you pick you have a list of hunters that you can pick.
Yeah.
And the way that it eventually works is when that hunter dies, even if you've upgraded them, you lose them. They're
Permadeath?
gone. Yes.
Whoa.
There's like
Not just in the match, on your account.
they're gone.
Too.
Yes.
Damn.
And
High
there's-
stakes. I like it.
Yes. So, but I'm still in the phase, the early goings, I'm just getting my feet wet in Hunt Showdown,
Nice.
where because I haven't crossed that threshold yet, I'm not losing that hunter upon death, and so I'm upgrading them and giving them new abilities and unlocking things.
So it's first person.
It's first person,
I was picturing it like
Beautiful
Vermintide,
graphics.
basically.
huh?
I thought it was like Vermintide 2, but it's not.
No. So here's kind of the way that a match plays out.
Okay.
So you get into a match, and there might be one or two things that you have to hunt. Let's just say, for the sake of simplicity, there's one thing you have to hunt. Let's say it's the fucking spider that's terrifying.
Sounds great.
Yeah. What you can do is you kind of have you kind of have
nailed the
this
ball.
Batman vision where you kind of like put out your hands, you channel mystic energy, whatever the hell you're doing.
Kamehameha.
Like you do.
You have this map, but you're not looking at the map. You're seeing in the distance there are kind of these blue glowing lights. And the brighter and the bigger the blue glowing light is, the closer that thing is, and that thing is a clue.
Okay.
And so what you want to do is when you go and you kind of hold down the F key, if you're playing on PC, you'll gather the clue, and then your map will actually, like, part of it will, like, gray out, and you'll be like, oh, okay, I'm getting a smaller area. What I'm hunting, the bounty, is somewhere within the area. And as you gather clues, that area will get smaller and smaller until you get
Okay.
all the clues. Until you get 3 clues, you know where the bounty is.
Sort of like Monster Hunter. Kind of.
Kind of, yeah. So like Monster Hunter, you're getting research levels.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
kind of like that. But where this gets crazy is it plays into the strategy of the other players. So it'll glow blue if there aren't any other players nearby. It'll glow red if there is a player nearby. And so people will wait to ambush you.
This gets
Stressful
so
game.
intense.
Super stressful.
And so there are different ways to play. Do you
Not
play
casual.
do you play it slow? Do you try to camp and try to thin out people and so you can go get the bounty? Or
What's
like
the player count? Was it like 8 or so? It's pretty small, right? It's like 8 or 10.
I think it's 10.
or-
I
okay.
believe that it's 10. And
it.
what's interesting is you can play in a maximum team of 3. But
Oh, so you have teams.
well, yes, but it's not like necessarily everybody is a team. So I can queue up and I can be solo, but I might be playing against others who are in groups of 2 or groups of 3. But if I'm playing solo,
Might have to curb that magic game.
you're
tonight.
getting bonus rewards for playing solo. Even though, so it's a trade-off. So
so
it'll be
you,
an
like,
easier
upgrade
game
better
for you
and-
if you're playing with 2 other people, but you're gonna get more rewards if you're playing solo.
more progression account rewards or more like buff in the match rewards?
I think it's more.
Sorry.
I think it's more experience.
Got it,
So
got it.
like
That's cool, though.
Like because as you rank up,
Yeah.
you're like, okay, you ranked up, now you get this new tool.
Got it.
or
So
you
it's
get this-
helping the solo player out a little
It's
more.
helping. It's like, hey, this is going to be harder, but your progression, your
Cool.
your account character unlocking
That's smart.
more things that you can use progression will be faster.
Got it.
Are there things that you keep? Because you said that it's like permadeath. Do you lose like all progression?
So
Or-
there's this concept of bloodlines, and I think you do carry some things over.
So it's
Castlevania.
like,
I feel like
so it's like Rogue
Bloodlines?
Legacy.
Right. Unfortunately, I'm still in the early part where like I'm not
Yeah.
doing that, but yeah, you're also earning currency, and so like that also helps you. And that's you can spend real money on currency, but you spend money.
Nice.
So like
Pay to win?
I don't know.
Pay to win?
Yeah.
Wild accusations.
Yeah, I think it's
Whoa.
wild accusations because it doesn't seem pay to win.
Okay.
Man, if I get anything wrong, comments please correct me. I'm doubting myself.
That
a
was
little
me
bit.
slinging wild pay to win
Yeah,
accusations.
it's a complex game, and I'm still trying to figure it out.
Probably
but-
not. Like people
yeah.
would
Yeah,
be
bro- yeah,
destroyed if
yeah.
they had pay to win in their game.
But like you use the currency and you can buy consumables.
I just wanted to
or,
say pay to
or
win.
like you can unlock new weapons and things like that. So there's a bunch of things to buy.
Cool.
I'm sorry it's not more detailed than what I'm giving you, but
I'm intrigued.
Yeah,
It sounds cool.
the way that a match plays out is really exciting because even if you're not dealing with other players, there's a lot going on in the world. Like the monsters that you're fighting are pretty terrifying. Like you'll go into the water and like this tentacled red monster will come like screaming at you in like waves and it'll get you. Or like hellhounds and you'll be like you're trying to outrun them but they're so fast and nipping at you. There's like this guy that is like on fire and he can speed at you so quickly. And if you're burning, you'll have to stop the burning. You'll have to like hold down the key, but you can't. To do that, you're putting yourself at risk. And if you don't stop the burning, like you have 3 chunks of health, and if you don't stop the burning, you'll actually lose like entire chunks of your health.
Ugh.
So even if you heal, it's like, well, I used to have 3 bars, now I only have 1 bar because the other 2 burned off.
Wow.
Or you can get poisoned. There's this really gross looking like character where their skin is like peeled back and their like head is kind of hanging off the side and their rib cage is like protruding out of them. And it's just jutting out of them like this, and there are flies going all around, and they can poison you, and they'll like if you get too close, they'll send a group of flies after you.
This game sounds rad.
It is rad, and it has like this bayou setting, this kind of swampy. Like you go into like these houses and everything is just kind of dingy and run down, and there's like glass all around. And
What year does it like? Is it like 1800s or is it modern?
You have like revolvers.
Yeah,
like,
you
So
do.
it's like 20s or something. Like
It's
it's
seems
like in
more
the
like
past.
that
Okay,
period.
okay.
Yeah, it seems like 1920s.
Yeah.
cool.
Kind of. But like yeah, you'll be going into a farm and like there'll be horses that have been like clearly attacked and they're laying on the ground. But if you get close to them, they'll like jump up and like just scream at you, or you'll be going by birds and they'll just go caw caw and they'll fly away. And so there's a lot of things where it's like, okay, I'm not only alerting the other monsters that are there, that's the AI, I'm
other
alerting other
players.
players, right? And like this game, there's not enough monsters, I think, that would make it work as a single-player game, but there's a lot going on even if you ignore the players. And so to add the chaos of the players on top of it is really exciting. But it's kind of horrific and tense, and like, yeah, it still gets to me. And again, early going, maybe I'll get more used to it, but
Man,
it's
I
a
feel
really
like
cool idea.
It was in early access for so
long,
long,
and
dude.
it's out now. Yeah,
But you've inspired me to.
I want
To
to play
di-
it, but
dive
I
in,
know I'll
then.
be horrible at it.
It's a really hard game, I feel like,
Yeah.
to be good at, because
Like
like
Vermintide 2, I can like it's co-op, so
and
at least
you die
get
really
carried.
quickly. It's not
Yeah.
like if somebody is shooting at you, they're gonna take you down in a few shots. It's not like you
yeah.
can take a lot of
And
bullets.
people are probably so freaking good
Insane
now at
at
that
it.
game.
Where-
Oh my
okay,
gosh.
so the
And
other
it
thing is-
technically just came out of early access, right?
like I was playing a match and somebody else got the bounty, and they were like, all right, you didn't get the bounty, like you can try to go kill them, but like you need to escape in this certain amount of time. And it wouldn't have happened to me because I'm still in that early going where my character would still survive, but they were like, if you don't make it out in time, your character will die. And like there's a timer going on, and it's like you went through so much, you survived the monsters, you didn't get killed by anybody else, and now you got to like run back to this extraction point just to survive. Like it's every match feels like
like Arkham
harrowing
Horror.
is the way that I would describe it.
It's so
So-
sick.
Sounds nuts.
Ben, man, you
how much is
inspired
it?
me.
$60 or
No, I think it's 30 or 40.
okay?
I bought it in early access,
Yeah.
so I'm
Yeah.
not sure how much it is now. I think it's 30 on Xbox.
Oh, it's on consoles too.
It's coming to PS. It's not on PS4 yet,
Oh.
but it's on Xbox right now. Yeah, it's a game preview on Xbox.
And it's on PC as well.
It's on PC.
Yeah. Okay.
I've
Cool.
got it on
I-
PC, and my computer might be able to
I
run
would
it.
recommend it playing it on PC if that's an option.
Got that 2080,
Haven't
baby.
played
I got to
on
use
both,
it.
So. But I apologize if
much money
if
on
I did a
it.
poor job of explaining like the progression.
sounds great.
And the deeper mechanics, but it's dense, and so I'm still learning, and so it's like
Complicated game.
yeah, trying to retain all of that and get it all exactly right.
Yeah.
Is a little bit much. But speaking of things that are terrifying, you've been watching a show called Terror, Ian.
The Terror.
The Terror.
I just finished season 1 the other day.
You know, it's a Ridley Scott joint.
Yeah, I didn't realize that until like episode 2. I was like, oh, it really is good.
Ridley Scott. Are
Finished season 1 and just started season 2.
Ridley Scott themes?
No. I mean, the first season took place in the 1800s, so the characters were Christian, if that's what you mean. But no, not really. It's based on a book, so I think we avoided it there. But I mean, yeah, just briefly, The Terror. It's on AMC. It's on Hulu also. But man, the first season is set in the late 1800s. These two English ships are trying to get through the Arctic Passage. They're trying to find the passage, and they get iced in, and then weird stuff starts to happen, and it's just
What kind of weird stuff?
weird stuff.
Like there's an episode of Mysteries at the Museums about it. You ever watch Mysteries at the Museum?
What?
It's one of my favorite shows ever.
Oh yeah, because it's like based on real events.
Yeah, they like
This like actually, I mean, like
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of this is, obviously like
I loved your response to
it's a little
that.
supernatural. But
Like, you're like, yeah, some weird stuff happens. What kind of weird stuff? Weird stuff. Like,
like control
I get it.
level weird or like weird.
I expected it to go a little more like Lovecrafty, and it kind of doesn't. But like, definitely,
Is it a violent horror?
It's not really a horror show. It's a little creepy. Season 1 wasn't really scary. The first episode had like maybe the scariest moment. The rest of it is just kind of like bleak. It's a sad show, and I loved it. Yeah, it's I don't know. I don't want to say too much. It's a slow burn. The acting is really good, but then season 2 now
Looks awesome.
is set in 1941 in California and centers around like Japanese immigrants. Right when World War II starts, like pops off in America, and internment camps and all that sort of stuff. But it's cool because it has like Japanese kind of supernatural stuff happening. Already this season seems like it's going to be scarier than season 1.
They probably were like, all right, season 1 wasn't scary enough. People wanted a little more, maybe.
Maybe
Crank it up.
season 1, like it wasn't really about the horror. It was about the horror of the situation. Like you empathize with people just being in this like awful bind.
So when you talk about this situation and the sadness and the suffering, is it like some terrible situation happens to them and then it just like kind of gets drawn out and you see them like slowly suffering?
Kind of. It's the 1800s and they're frozen into the Arctic 800 or 900 miles away from like England or civilization or whatever. Yeah, even I think 800 miles from like the nearest like settlement. And yeah, so, it's just about like the medical practices at the time and like what they knew and didn't know.
Have you ever
and,
seen the movie Alive?
No. What's that?
Never mind. My question would be a spoiler if you said yes or no. So never mind.
Okay. But yeah, it's just really good.
Oh, so a question that I have for you is, I too enjoy bleak things from time to time, but I feel like there's in recent years, let's say like maybe since Breaking Bad, there have been shows that have been excellent, but it's a lot to get through. I feel that way sometimes about Black Mirror, where there are Black Mirror episodes where I'm like, I need to consume something that doesn't make me feel like we're all screwed. And that's a good thing. It's not necessarily a negative to Black Mirror or other things like The Handmaid's Tale. Sometimes can feel sometimes can feel very. It's a very big show.
This avoids that by being set in the past. So like, it's
It
not
already
so,
happened.
Well, but it's like I understand what you mean about like Handmaid's Tale just feels like a documentary at this point. And,
Right,
like,
right.
Black Mirror
Right.
like is very much based on our reality and like shades and like.
I see what you're trying to say.
But like the terror is like
There's a disconnect.
the
'cause
three
it's
of us
like-
aren't likely to be stuck in a boat in the 1800s in the Arctic, being hunted.
Sometimes with this job, I don't know.
Yeah, you never know what's gonna happen. But the first episode of season 2, I did feel a little more of what you're talking about, the like real world depression too, because I'm like, man, all this like racial profiling stuff just kind of still happens.
Yeah.
Like boy, oh boy. And
Yeah.
it's just so intense to think like this was happening in America in, the 40s, which is like not that long ago.
It can be a hard line to walk with media where like you want things to be eye-opening and you want to stare at it and you want to see what's really going on and you want to try to like discern truth through art, right? But then I think just like mentally you need to have a point where you're like, I need something like Animal Crossing right now. Like, and it's good to have that thing in your pocket too.
For sure.
Yeah.
For
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Looking forward to Dark Crystal. Gonna start that tonight.
I need to rewatch the
If
movie,
it's out.
man.
If it's out.
Like I used to work at a restaurant, and my manager let me borrow Dark Crystal, so I saw it like not when I was a kid.
I
but
grew
like,
up with that stuff.
Yeah, I watched it like 10 years ago,
That
which
is
is
a
like recent,
weird
but I don't
movie.
really remember.
It's weird and depressing and weird.
Yeah, I remember
But
like,
pretty cool.
He was like obsessed with it, and I was like I probably should have watched it when I was a kid. It was good, but it kind of missed me.
Man, one of the most like depressing things for me is as a kid, I adored the Neverending Story. Like I thought the world was amazing.
This happened to me too.
And
You
when
went back?
I was older, it was in high school.
Yeah.
I went and I watched it and I was like,
Yeah.
this doesn't hold up the way that I was hoping.
Can we bring the vibes back up? You know, it does hold up from your childhood.
The Mask.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Teenage Mutant Ninja
The
Turtles.
movies.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I
Oh, yeah.
watched the first movie in a theater not that long ago. I was just telling you about this. It was very good.
Yeah, Neverending Story did not hold.
Yo, shout out to Shredder for being an evil villain.
Shredder, dude.
Shredder terrified me as a kid.
You know what holds up better than anything?
What?
Hollow Knight.
Hollow Knight.
No, this is HOTTAKE!
Fake out.
No, this is HOTTAKE. Speaking of, it's funny. I know you were very well intentioned, but actually at the beginning of the show, you kind of ruined the HOTTAKE because we're talking about WoW Classic.
What are we talking about?
We're talking about WoW Classic. We're not talking about World of Warcraft Classic in the way, like we're not talking about how good it is or anything like that. I just think it's a really interesting thing. What does it mean? I guess is kind of the nature of this HOTTAKE, where
What does it mean?
They've taken this game from 2004 and they've brought it back to 2019, and it's not just like this it's not just a curiosity. It is this thing that is blowing up. It's mega popular. People are rabid for it. Like, what does this mean about video games? Like, is it? Do you think we're at a point in time where we're more interested in capturing nostalgia? Was there something that we did better then? What does this say about the current state of Blizzard? Like, this thing, I think is kind of a phenomenon. And I don't think you could do it with everything. No. I don't think there are other MMOs you could bring back, even ones that people really like, and generate this kind of acclaim. And so how are you processing what's going on with WoW Classic?
It's hard to process. It's shocking. But I think, like you were saying, this wouldn't happen with everything, you know? And I think in MMO specifically is a lot of the reason this is blowing up, because it's just teeming with life. World of Warcraft Classic right now is just brimming with life, and everyone just at the same point, even playing field. And I think that's huge, you know? World of Warcraft has been going on for so long. It's changed so much. Like, people that maybe were curious about World of Warcraft just were like, oh man, that game's been going for 10 years. I'm not going to hop into that. So it's just kind of this perfect storm maybe of all these types of players converging at one point. Like we were saying earlier, just veterans coming back, curious players, you know, people that just follow big streamers. Like, what was it, 1 million on Twitch? So I think this moment too of like really hardcore followings for streamers is helping it.
I think the long queue times really help Twitch.
Yeah, dude. Honestly,
People are watching because they can't play.
Yeah.
What is interesting is I do think Twitch is a key component. I think you're right, because like a lot of people that are streaming it that are really blowing up are people that have stories to tell from that time.
Yeah.
And so I think that inherently makes the stream more exciting, where it's like, okay, come on, gather around the campfire, kids. Let me tell you about the war at Terran Mill.
Pure concentrated nostalgia.
Right. But that is entertaining because you feel like you're hanging out with somebody in a pretty intimate way by having them get so excited about past glory. You know? It's like your grandpa telling you stories or something. Yeah.
To circle back to the initial question, I think it'll mean something a lot different if it's still this crazy popular 1 month from now, 2 months from now.
Do you think the fuse on this is very
right,
short?
That's the thing. Is like either the fuse is really short, it's just a curiosity right now.
Somebody already hit 60, which is a big deal.
Yeah.
So that race is over.
The race is done.
Yeah.
And so it's like, is this a flash in the pan curiosity, or is it really a return? Because it almost feels like a retro game, you know, in a weird way.
Yeah.
Like, because it's something that the scarcity, it's the Disney Vault, right? Like they took it away just by virtue of the game evolving.
Disney Vault,
and then like
dude.
they brought it back.
It's the Disney Vault.
Yeah, and so like, is that something that has legs? Is this something that people are going to keep playing for a long time? I mean, I imagine I didn't play I mean, I played it when it came out
Yeah.
for a little bit, but not enough to know. But like, I imagine that there's a finite amount of content.
Yeah, like what would Molten Core or Blackwing was Blackwing Lair Burning Crusade or vanilla? Either way,
Blackwing,
there's one
I
or
think
two
it was-
raids.
I think it was vanilla. Yeah.
Okay, well then, yeah,
Right. Then
like,
you're done.
What happens when you kill Ragnaros and Onyxia? Like that, then do you just keep doing that over and over and over and over again? Because the whole
You
point,
could.
the whole point of like back then, it was like that promise of continuation,
Right.
another expansion, another expansion.
And I
keep
mean,
going.
like, I don't know if maybe they are. I don't. It might be fun if they introduce some kind of weird, like, metaphysical time travel kind of a thing, where like if you get to the top level in vanilla, it unlocks cool stuff in the present.
Okay,
like that would
dude.
be dope.
You just blew my mind.
It'd be crazy,
If
right?
somehow they did some weird portal shenanigans
cool.
or time, because they've messed with time travel a lot. So if you somehow combined them or something weird,
I don't know.
yeah.
I don't know.
Cool
But, like,
theory. I like it.
It'll be interesting to see if this keeps going or if it's just a curiosity. Everyone on Twitch is watching because they have the queue times are too long, and if it'll die down eventually. Or yeah, I'm really anxious to see how long this goes.
Yeah, I think what has kind of held me back from it a little bit is like, you know, I certainly didn't do everything in Vanilla WoW or anything like that. I was not the hardest of hardcore players, but it was something that I sunk a lot of time into. It was something that commanded a lot of time because MMOs demand a lot of time, especially back then. They demanded a lot of time, and so I was like, you know, I've kind of gone through that, and I think the magic of something like that is going to a new area for the first time, or seeing where a quest goes, or seeing how a dungeon progresses. And it's like, well, if I've seen a lot of that already, then what's the point? And like I felt like at the time it was we're all figuring this out together, getting on and explaining things to each other and learning and asking questions, and that's happening now. Like you said, there's new players, but I get the sense that people are saying it was better back then.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Giving it back.
reviving this.
Totally.
And so I posed the question to you, was it better back then?
Hard question, because better is such a weird, like,
Right.
you know, I enjoyed it more back then because I loved having to rely on other people. I loved having to go specifically to the dungeon, wait there for everyone to gather, and then go in together instead of the disconnect of like, all right, queue up. Cool. All right, we're in. You know, it just, the game has had a disconnect with its ease of progression over the years.
Right.
And I loved how hardcore it was in the beginning. Obviously, way more time intensive. You know, a lot more inconvenient trying to find quests and all that. Like, there's been a lot of quality of life improvements over the years, but just how meaningful finishing a quest is, how meaningful your level and your gear is, like, everything just feels like it matters a little more.
I remember like getting a mount and feeling like
Yeah.
A whole new world.
like I had just graduated from college. Like
Yep.
it was just like
Yeah.
it was like this feels like a momentous thing in my life.
Yes.
Because like
Flying mounts.
games
ruined
are
everything for me.
afraid games are afraid of not to not give you things.
Mm-hmm.
They're afraid of withholding things from you for a long period of time.
Yeah.
And in the early days of World of Warcraft,
Level 40.
it was like not only do you not have this, but you're going to see a bunch of other people who do have this thing that you really want that looks sick, and you're not going to have it for hours.
And you're going to see all those damn shapeshifters turning into wolves. They're flying by. I'm just walking along.
Yeah. And I think there's part of that philosophy that could come back of making things feel out of reach and like you really got to work to get them.
Yeah. Just more like, it's more boots on the ground, you know? Like I said earlier, detective work. And I know there's mods, like, you can add all these mods that, you know, I think they add waypoints and like tell you where things are, but it's still, it feels classic, you know? It's WoW Classic.
Do you think this says anything about Blizzard? Because hear me out. And again, nostalgia is a powerful thing that I think can mischaracterize things in a way that is not accurate. I still think a brand new Blizzard game is exciting, but when I look at kind of like the way Blizzard is talking about things now, like the idea of what I had of Blizzard at a time is just like, anything they do is gonna shift the earth. Like they don't do things very often, but when they do, like you're gonna be there. And like I look at like BlizzCon announcements recently, and it's like, I adore Warcraft 3. I'm super happy that you're remaking Warcraft 3, but that's not like, that's not shaking the earth. That's not offering me something that that's not something that I've never experienced before, or like new heroes or you know, new outfits or whatever. It just seems a little bit more predictable, I guess. Do you think there is magic in Blizzard that has been lost in a meaningful way, and do you think WoW Classic brings that to the forefront?
I think we're definitely in a downturn with Blizzard personally. I'm sorry. It's just because I'm not super into Overwatch. I think if I was really into Overwatch still, I'd be like, all right, Blizzard, like you're still good, you know?
Overwatch is really good.
Overwatch is amazing.
Yeah.
All their games are amazing, but just for me personally, because I don't play Overwatch, because StarCraft is over, because I played Diablo so much, because World of Warcraft isn't as good as it used to be, you know, I've definitely fallen out of favor with Blizzard. I think in the last couple of years, like you were saying, just those announcements haven't hit, but I still think there's more in the tank. I still think some magic's going to come. Diablo 4, something.
Yeah, I just thought of a funny analogy that, because exactly what you said, like, I've always been confident in the quality of Blizzard. Now I'm confident that Blizzard will put something out and then do the work that is required to make it really good. I mean, Diablo 3 is the perfect example of that, right? Where, like, it came out and I didn't like, I love Diablo, and I did not like Diablo 3 when it came out on PC. And then they put it out on consoles, and I was like, are you kidding me? And then I fell in love with it. It was so awesome. And now, so like Blizzard has the capacity to just like do the work to fix a thing. And I feel like Blizzard as a company is kind of in that place right now. And I'm hopeful that they'll do the same work that they did for Diablo 3 on themselves and like fix themselves up. Because like, I mean, they're crushing it with the Overwatch, obviously.
A lot of people have left.
But for people that like are like more on the single player side, like we are, you know, it does feel a little,
It's been a while. Like the last time I was like so like die hard MCU style passionate for Blizzard was like not even Overwatch. I mean, I was excited and I loved Overwatch when it came out, but it was like Legacy of the Void. It was StarCraft 2 expansion. That was so long ago, that feels like now. So I've been, you know, I'm ready for something.
Diablo's always been mine, but
Do you think, like, just the response that WoW Classic has generated, what does this mean for current WoW? Where it's like if current WoW comes out with a new expansion and people are like, I'm good, I'll stick with this 2004 version. That's really weird.
Yeah, it's really weird.
That's really weird.
Weird situation we're in.
Yeah.
I don't know. Again, we're like
where, how do you support both those things?
Effectively? When do you turn the faucet off for WoW Classic? Again, like you put out your raids and that's okay. Here, everything is up until Burning Crusade. This is it. Mm-hmm. Will that keep going?
I really wonder if eventually
will people still play that.
The end game is just letting you play any part of World of Warcraft history.
Yeah. And then it's just called World of Warcraft History or something.
Yeah. Do you think you could just jump to any build?
Mm-hmm. Do you think the success of new quote unquote monetization that Blizzard has earned through things like Hearthstone and Overwatch and Heroes of the Storm and things like that has changed the way that they make games in a negative way, where because you can earn so much money, a disgusting amount of money through new monetization, that you won't feel the earth shift as much because it's just not as profitable as maybe like giving you new microtransactions to feed on? That's a very snarky and cynical way of looking at it, but I don't know.
I mean, we've definitely seen a shift away from the like monthly subscription style pay system for games.
WoW Classic though.
You have to pay separately?
You get a World of Warcraft subscription for both.
Okay.
But you know, even if you never played the old one or whatever, you're still coming into WoW Classic.
But to just play WoW Classic, you've got to pay.
For the whole shebang.
You got to pay that monthly fee.
WoW is kind of the exception.
But WoW also has microtransactions within it on top of you buying expansions and paying a monthly fee.
So maybe Classic for a lot of people is like less intimidating because there's not the promise of having to buy more things. It's like, all right, I just come in with the subscription and I'm good. I don't know. This whole situation is like unprecedented.
It's a very wild.
You know?
It's a wild thing.
But
yeah.
I would not be surprised if Blizzard right now is shifting because of this. They probably saw this and they're probably just like, okay, whoa, what what do you? You're on the next World of Warcraft expansion. You're on that team, fiddling away, working.
Right. What does this say to you?
Yeah. All of a sudden, WoW Classic comes in. What are you doing?
You're like, what do we make it look like it's from 2004? What do you want from us?
Like,
what do you want from us?
I don't know because, like, I try to stay current every expansion in WoW. I didn't hit the level cap in this one because I've been so busy, but I'm more excited to go back to Classic than to pick up where I left off in. I forget the name of the newest expansion. Even it's been so long. I'm so out of it.
I do feel like there has been a problem with momentum, and this is a frustrating criticism to articulate because something like Overwatch, like when Overwatch was announced, like I was truly and utterly in awe. Like it looked amazing. I wanted to learn more about this world. I want to learn more about the characters. The way that it played, I remember we went to BlizzCon and played it, and we were like, it feels finished, and it's perfect.
Yeah.
And it felt like this thing that was so painstakingly thought out and put together. But then Overwatch kind of became predictable.
Yeah,
it's like
the possibilities were endless in the beginning there, and then they just were like, okay, we're just gonna add some maps and heroes.
Right. It's like, okay,
that's it.
you're gonna get more skins. You're gonna get like goofy events from time to time, and like. This is also on me. I don't care as much about the competitive side of things, but like
which is thriving
in terms of
it's
heroes.
It's a huge esport.
Yeah, right. Which is admittedly like maybe that's the problem for me. But like if you just kind of release heroes at a certain cadence, and it's like okay, the hero's gonna come out, then you're gonna get the YouTube video on them. Like I don't know.
Meta's gonna shift. They're gonna talk about the meta. They're gonna talk about reacting.
I don't feel like I have this. For a world that seems so possibly enchanting, I feel my ways for interacting with it have become predictable in a way where that luster is kind of gone.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't necessarily have to be this way. And obviously, like, doing these things takes tremendous work and manpower and effort, and it's not easy to do what I'm describing. But even a game that I do not actively play, and admittedly don't have interest in, something like Fortnite, it feels like they're willing to do anything at any moment. And you don't know what they're going to do to the world. You don't know what kind of crossover they're going to do. It just feels kind of chaotic and wild and unpredictable from an outsider's perspective.
In a good way,
yes.
too. The chaos.
Right.
I love it.
And so, like, why is Blizzard struggling with this momentum, considering the response and interest that they got and the enthusiasm that they had and the size of the company that it is? Like, what's going on there? I feel like I should still have in the back of my mind that hunger.
I think they made a choice to go the esport route, and I think for them it was the right thing to do. I think Overwatch, when it first came out, it got the commercial success. It was huge. A lot of people got it, played it. Long term, they went, all right, we're going esports. And Blizzard, as you know better than most, Ben, they take their time with their balancing and their updates and everything. And I just think that's what has happened to the majority of their games. They just take a lot of time to nurse it for the long-term competitive scenes. They really go in on that.
I don't think that works. Because
hang on. To take a positive spin.
Yeah.
What are the two things we really know about Blizzard is they take their time and they're willing to cancel and start over if something isn't working. So like to me, what if we just hit a weird patch where something about Diablo 4 wasn't working. They went back to the drawing board, started over, and like we're in this doldrums, what feels like a doldrum, but really it's because they have those scruples and they stopped, they canceled, they reiterated on a couple of big titles, and it just took a little longer, but they're all coming still.
But so I feel like there's an old and new mentality that is coming into clash, and that is it's just creating this void where everything is kind of falling in. I feel like when you're making games that come in boxes, you can take that slow, methodical, and patient approach.
Right.
But if what you're selling is a live game that relies on updates and you have that old, we'll put it in a box when it's ready mentality, those two things will come into conflict and you'll create a rift between your audience and what you're trying to do. And what I want to speak to is Hearthstone, because for a long time, I was as into Hearthstone as I think as a human being could. I mean, I was playing every day. I was spending a lot of money in it. I was as knowledgeable about it as I feel like I possibly could have been. I was obsessed. But the way that they updated that game, the resistance to do it, it was like people were identifying clear problems. Things were obviously, and I don't know how things are now, but I'm speaking to how they lost me.
Yeah.
Right.
And it was like, a player is willing for things to be stale for a while if they love the game. They're not willing for something to be stale for years. They're not willing, like, if it takes you, like, months longer than it should have, again and again and again, people are eventually going to lose interest, and they feel like their obsession is not being respected. If you are selling an obsession, then you have to cater to that, and it just felt like they were so stick in the mud about everything.
Yeah.
And they were so precious about everything that this game needed to move faster than they were allowing it to move, and it was frustrating, and they lost me, and I like, there was a point in time where I felt like it was impossible to lose me.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think it's frustrating because, like, there's a stubbornness about it.
Oh yeah.
That I don't understand.
Yeah.
It's funny because Blizzard is a huge company, and it almost feels like Blizzard isn't one company, but like 7 companies. You know, it's
all the
World
different
of Warcraft.
teams
It's
for-
World of
yeah.
Warcraft Blizzard. It's Hearthstone. It's StarCraft. It's
Yeah.
Overwatch. It's Diablo. It's Warcraft 3. And like we're seeing from the live games as a service teams
Right.
of Blizzard, because they have to stay current because their games are services, right? Like
Right.
Overwatch to a certain extent, Hearthstone and World of Warcraft, like, have to be out always doing stuff because that's just how those games work.
Right.
But like, yeah, your Diablos and your Warcrafts and stuff, like, they can just be silent for years and years.
Well,
and it gets disheartening.
but I think the thing that Blizzard had that maybe created this mentality is they were best in class.
Right.
And there were genres that they were working in where it's like, listen, you can't get this anywhere else. Not like this. Like,
Not like this.
Diablo was
Not
the
like
action
these.
was the action RPG. You could play other things, but they weren't as good as Diablo.
Right.
That's not true anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's not true for even digital card games. Like Magic the Gathering Arena is awesome,
It's
or at least
so
my
good.
experience with
It's
it has
so
been awesome.
good.
But they have the best hero shooter.
They do.
But I feel like it's within arm's reach. Like I feel like other people are there. If you like that, there are other things that can maybe fill that void in a similar way. Like Rainbow Six Siege is trucking line. It's not the same
Team Fortress
thing.
2 still kicking.
It's not the same thing, but I just don't think they have that best in class thing anymore. Like Final Fantasy 14 feels huge and like is filling a void that maybe for people that maybe current WoW isn't. Not talking about WoW Classic.
You want a real HOTTAKE?
What's that?
Uh-oh.
How many years until unassailable, perfect in every way From Software falters the way that Blizzard has?
I don't even want to talk about
Like,
this.
do you live
I don't
long
wanna live
enough
this
to
nightmare.
to become the villain? You
I
know
don't
what I
want to
mean?
hear it.
on a long enough timeline, anything is possible,
Yeah,
as we've
right,
seen. But
Once
but-
Miyazaki leaves, it's all over.
But I think if you are uncompromising, you won't fall into that pit.
Right.
Whereas, like, you know, think about Sekiro. Okay, think about fucking Sekiro for like a second. Published by Activision.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which made me nervous at the time.
Notoriously, we're gonna get a vacuum and suck up all your loose change, Activision. Think about the kind of game that Sekiro is.
Yeah. Might not even get DLC.
Sekiro is
Yeah.
uncompromising. It is like pin your balls to the back of the board hard, right? Most
Wow.
people who
Beginning,
play
middle, and end.
right,
The game
and
ends.
I'm sure people in the comments will be like, "It's not that hard." It's compared to most video games.
Compared to most video games, it's
it
a
is
difficult video game.
extremely difficult.
People say it's not that good. Compared
yeah.
to most video
For-
games,
for-
it's very
think
good.
Think about how successful it is and the kind of game it is, and it doesn't make any sense because they made exactly the kind of game that they wanted to make. You don't,
But like the
and that was
Like-
what Blizzard had.
right, exactly. That's what I was
Yeah.
about to say. Like Sekiro is not even my favorite From Software game,
If-
and like you still realize you are at the hands of masters, and that's
Right.
what Blizzard used to feel like.
But you know what that comes from? That comes from
Miyazaki.
that comes from independence.
Yeah.
From Software is not owned. If they become owned, I think that is where you run into.
I think it is possible to be an owned company and still perform really well. Like
Yes.
some of these ones that Microsoft has, and some of these
Tango
other.
I think
GameWorks.
I think
and
Sony
some of
Santa Monica
Sony
is a
Santa
good
Monica
example
is a
of that.
great example
Yeah.
where like they still have enough chutzpah or whatever to like get it done in
Well,
the right
it
way.
depends
But
on who you're in
who
bed
owns
with.
you, yeah.
Shinji Mikami holding down the
who your
fort.
overlord is
Tango.
matters a lot.
Like, you know, if you get into bed with EA, there is reasonable cause to be
You're
worried.
screwed. Yeah. You're gonna put out.
That's not just an internet meme.
No,
that's
they're gonna-
that's a fact.
They're gonna rush you to put out a
Was
game before it's done, and
worse-
then they're gonna shut your company down.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what's gonna happen. Yeah.
Hey,
Whereas
Garden Warfare 3 though.
Sony will let you take a while and get done.
Garden
What's
Warfare
that?
3. Garden Warfare 3 is going to be
Maybe
good.
I don't know.
That's
Is it
That's a EA joint. Hey, Garden Warfare 2 and 1 were amazing.
great? What's a good EA game besides that one? Like that has
Battlefield.
come out in the
This
last.
DICE. Does that count if they publish shit, or like they have to develop?
Wait, but
it?
everyone has like makes a big stink with Battlefield all the time.
I mean, I
Well, some
it's
of
easy
that
to make a
is-
stink about Battlefield, but
Yeah,
at the end of the day, I love Battlefield.
Oh, Battlefield.
Yeah.
I was thinking Battlefront.
Which
Battlefield
apparently
is
is
good.
amazing now.
Battlefield
Battlefront
is
2, we're way off.
Right, but
topic,
DICE is the same
that's-
company, and then we
yeah.
had Battlefront 2, which was
started
a
terrible.
nightmare.
But I
Yeah,
heard
yeah,
now
yeah.
it's pretty
Battlefield is good. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Too late.
I'm super happy if Battlefront has turned the ship around, but
Yeah.
you know, if you're a nightmare for months on end, that's a problem. That's a problem that shouldn't happen.
Do you think Blizzard realizes that maybe they can always get their players back? Do you think
yes.
that's their mentality of
Yes.
yo, we're fine,
Yeah.
they'll come back
Yeah,
to
yeah.
us, so let's just take our time and make it.
They're like, we can take a
get- but
decade
the
between
thing- the thing
Diablos
is,
and they'll come back.
If
yeah.
I was Blizzard, it would be a hit to my pride if, as a company, we were like, no, you don't want to do WoW Classic. Why would you want that? That was their stance.
Yeah.
I'm not making that
Yeah,
up.
yeah,
That was
yeah.
what they said.
Yeah.
And then there was this huge outcry about it. They caved, and it was explosively popular.
Yeah.
Like, that to me would be more confounding than anything. And so that's what I want them to take a look at is what does this really mean?
Mm-hmm.
What are we failing to capture in the way that we should be?
Landmark moment.
Right.
This is
I
a
wonder-
landmark moment.
I wonder how hard it was to get WoW Classic running.
Probably harder than we think.
Sounds
I'm
pretty
sure.
difficult.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
sure.
But I want to speak about The Evil Within really quickly.
Oh,
because
what? Okay.
I think
All right.
I think The Evil Within is an excellent game.
Yeah.
What I want to say to Blizzard is it can be hard to figure out who to listen to. I think there were some reviews with The Evil Within that I'm not saying that game doesn't have serious flaws. I think it does have things that you can point out and have serious flaws too.
Definitely.
But the
Serious flaws.
the even just hear me out, okay? Sometimes I think the critical response is different than the audience response.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And I think there's a difference between
Days Gone. Recent example.
I think you needed to figure out who you're making a game for.
Yeah.
And you obviously love The Evil Within. I love The Evil Within, but that was exactly what I wanted.
Yeah.
Where it was like, okay, I'm very familiar with Shinji Mikami. I'm very familiar with Resident Evil. I want it to make me happy in that way, but I don't want it to be an exact copy. I want it to be pushing in some different directions, and it did all of that. It felt like it understood its audience and therefore was able to be successful.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
What I'm saying about Blizzard is, I don't think it always understands its audience.
Yeah. Or honestly, they're just so big now that they just are trying to appeal to as many people as possible, therefore losing a little bit of that magic by trying to cater to very specific tastes.
Right. But I'm saying, I don't know. I think From Software understands its audience.
But they have Miyazaki helming, guiding the path. It does fall to that person, that figurehead, that leader of the group. And like you're saying, Blizzard does seem like 7 companies.
Yeah.
You
But I
know?
mean- but I mean
who
the-
is guiding the ship?
Yeah, but that's the thing is you need to have that person that's holding the water back,
Yeah.
right? That's acting as the dam. Like the second that the new From Software comes out and it's like, actually, you can pay $1.99 to get your souls back. Like, that's it. The dam is broken. It's over. And you'll never get it back. You'll never get it back.
Then it's Let It Die, which I do still like.
Cool. Right. Great game.
I like Let It Die.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm saying specifically from...
No, I know.
Like, if you build up this pedigree and you build up this reputation, like, you have to try to...
And I mean, kind of like what you said. It's like, do you go Roland Emmerich or Michael Bay and just try to like hit the most people, or do you have like discipline and aim for quality, and then get a bunch of people because it's so good?
Yeah.
And like that
They
the latter
have
is
the
the harder
quality, though.
path.
That's why it's always going to be so like everything is just so mucked up in my brain because like Blizzard does make every game they make is phenomenal.
Right.
But
And sometimes
it
the audience
used-
doesn't know what it wants.
Yeah, but it used to be better. But is that just my nostalgia looking
Did they-
back?
Right.
Like
Did they cancel Heroes of the Storm? Is it done?
No.
You can still play it, but they're
it's-
just not doing anything.
Yeah.
It's yes. It's
So it's dead.
stagnating, percolating.
they are not prioritizing. I think is maybe a charitable way.
People
of-
moved on to other projects while it kind of just
Right.
goes
Still up,
on. Yeah,
but
it's got a heartbeat.
But I guess maybe to provide like kind of our own perspective on it, like we get a lot of feedback and advice, and it's sometimes humorous looking at the feedback because you'll read one suggestion and you'll read another suggestion, and they're literally
say the
going in
exact
opposite directions.
that
And
survey
that doesn't mean
was
that
very
either
fun.
person is doing anything wrong, but we can't obviously listen to both people at the same time, and so it has to be a mix of understanding our audience, but also like believing in your own direction.
Well, and it's kind of funny because Easy Allies, you know, you could think of us as having two prongs, you know, like we kind of think of it as two mixtures of the whole, but like there is streaming and there are videos, and like Blizzard is that times 6, you know, or like
Right.
there are all these different factions.
I mean, like let's not kid ourselves. Take a single character video that Blizzard has done.
Right.
We can't ever do anything
Oh,
like that. You know.
no.
So
Budget.
and that's a blip on their radar. You know. So
Here's the
they're,
deal.
They're clearly working.
Here's the
in
deal.
A much greater capacity.
We set a Patreon goal for $1 million. We buy 1 minute of blur CG for an ad for Easy Allies, and then we, I don't know, put it on TV or something, and then we'll be saved. Everything will be great forever.
and it's about Billy Zane.
It's about Billy Zane. Billy Zane narrates.
Zaniacs.
We're a bunch of Zaniacs, I tell you.
Are we ready for some emails?
Probably.
I want to get an email.
Shout out to
from,
Fleabag. We ran out of time, but Fleabag's an amazing show.
I want to get an email from Billy Zane.
I would
Yeah,
love
I
to
heard
get an
you
email.
guys
I
talking
would
about
love to get an email
I
from
want
Billy
to
Zane.
get a piece of orange parchment with a note written in blood from Billy Zane.
I'll settle for a tweet, Billy. Just tweet at me, Billy Zane.
Give me the blood.
Billy
Give me the
Zane.
blood, Lord.
Our first email comes in from Brandon. He says, "Hello, everyone. This
Hello.
week it was revealed that Telltale would be coming back as a new company in some form and will be based out of Malibu."
Super
that was a very
weird.
funny conversation on the
Yeah,
podcast.
yeah.
To me, initially at least, it feels like a THQ Nordic situation, but I wanted to ask you, in light of this, what developers would you love to see rise like a phoenix from the past? Pandemic, Visceral, someone else? Thank you for taking my email. If you do, and as always, stay easy, fellow allies.
Dude, Pandemic is dope. Visceral's dope. Good calls right there. I'm all in for those.
Done? Close?
Done. Yeah.
The one that they sort of resurrected themselves was Cyan Worlds, and they did it. They came back with Abduction, and now they're doing Firmament, I think it's called, or Firmament. But there was a time there where Cyan seemed like it was dead, and I'm really glad that it happened. They came back,
No.
but yeah.
I feel like there's
Sierra,
yeah, but they turned into something, I
That'd be
believe.
good, Sierra.
I think they turned into something.
they got bought. I think.
Yeah,
like,
I think
somebody
they're.
just bought
I
'em.
feel like they're part of Rainbow Six now or something.
Some
weird.
weird,
They're-
I don't know.
Yeah.
Can I say Blizzard?
Wild Classic, man, we got it.
Well, yeah, kind of. Konami.
Man,
I'm gonna say Konami.
Yes,
Dude.
that's the one.
I know
Wow.
Konami still exists.
Yeah.
I
We
know
need.
they haven't
We
been
just need to
shuttered.
like.
Technically.
But come on.
Come on.
We just need to get like some kind of like Jackie Chan style like warrior monk to go in and like purify the demons out of the Konami building
and steal
like-
the Castlevania
Right.
IP.
No, but can you imagine like
Smuggle it out.
somebody goes in and like they discover that all of the workers have become like slaves of a
hiss.
yokai.
The
yeah,
hiss,
the hiss
dude.
is in
Send
Konami
Payne.
building.
I think
And they
what's
need
so
to like they need to get Jesse Faden in there to clear out the hiss. and then all of the the bleariness removed from their eyes, and like, what did we do to Kojima?
The thing is,
What
though,
about video games?
is there
What happened?
times where you feel like some of the mist is clear? Like they play games with your heart, right? They do these amazing collections, and so you're like, yeah, I do like Castlevania. Thank you for bundling Rondo of Blood and Symphony of the Night together. Thank you for releasing this amazing collection that has all this cool stuff on it. And so they're like
Thank you for doing these cash grabs, Konami.
yeah, they're cash grabs, but they're also like a current reminder of former greatness.
They are what we want.
Right, right. And so, listen, Bloodstain was pretty good.
Bloodstained.
If you can
Yeah.
just swallow your pride and make something happen for this
Bloodstain, dude.
clearly amazing game.
Just give Iga a team and let him do
Just let
Castlevania
them do it.
again.
Just say, hey,
yeah,
we
just
were
let
wrong.
someone buy. Give From Software. God, if From Software and Iga teamed up to make a 2D sprite animated Castlevania game, I would tear my skin off.
What a Metroidvania Castlevania in this current landscape
Huh?
still excite you?
Yeah.
Or would you want another crack at 3D?
Listen,
No.
okay, let me tell you.
Just-
Let me
I-
tell you
3D is
this.
for babies.
Let me tell you this, Hubert. There are moments in Bloodstained that are literally just
Yeah.
Symphony of the Night.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
Literally.
that game is amazing.
Yeah. So it's kind of like I just
actually
played
literally
a
just-
Castlevania, you know what I mean? That's where I'm saying, like, oh, a 3D one might be.
Nah.
Like, I feel like we never got the 10 out of 10 3D Castlevania game that is possible.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
possible,
It's called
dude.
Bloodborne.
Like, yeah.
I mean, straight up.
But, like, let me enter a vampire crypt, open it up, and slam a stake through a vamp's heart, dude. Like
Multiple times.
Multiple times, and blood flies everywhere. Like,
I mean,
let me live that, man.
I think I
Let me live it.
agree with what you're saying. Where like, I think like coming out and being like, hey, we're making a new Symphony of the Night style Castlevania. It's like, okay, well, I've played a lot of good ones recently.
a lot of
right? and
Metroid- that's where I'm
like you're,
coming from.
yeah. I think I agree with you.
So many
I agree with you.
Metroidvania games.
But the thing about Konami is
I
that it's
know.
not like they just have Castlevania. I think Silent Hill is ripe for a lot.
I know.
Right, and so it's like,
Don't even.
but like, okay, all right. Let me throw this at you. Lords of Shadow is not 10 out of 10. I'm sorry,
Number one
it's
is
just-
a 7. A swimming
Yeah,
in
but
7.
it's not a 10 out of 10.
No.
But
It's
there
a good
was
7.
But
Yeah.
like there was like keep exploring.
Yeah.
Keep
There was
exploring.
hope.
I
there.
understand that it's not that easy and a lot of money is involved.
Yeah.
But that was them trying
They
something.
tried
and it
it.
was interesting.
Yeah.
Right? It was interesting.
Even 2 was interesting. It wasn't
I
as
haven't played a lot of 2.
There are
It's-
a few
it's-
interesting
but-
story moments.
Blood liked it more than 1. Brad and I liked it less than 1. I think
I
it's
was-
I think it's a
why?
it's a
I'm
taste
somebody.
thing.
I'm somebody that does not
but-
like Lords of Shadow 1, and I played that whole thing. It's a very frustrating game in a lot of ways, but it was an interesting game.
Yeah.
It was an interesting game, and
Totally.
I want it. I'm hungry for it. You're sitting on these
Yeah.
things.
Yep.
PT is one of the best things I've ever played.
I know.
PT is ridiculous.
This is depressing me, dude. We
is
gotta
depressing.
build it up. We gotta
All
end
right.
on a high note, man.
Let's
I can't.
let's go on a journey.
'Kay.
Our next question, our next email is from Daryl. Hello, Allies. Once again, I would like to thank you for influencing me to play the Souls series of games.
Yeah.
Technically, I played
Good job,
Demon's
Ian.
Souls back in the day, but got bored after the first level / boss. It wasn't until recently that I played the underrated masterpiece that is Sekiro. I love calling
What?
Those are his words, not mine. Those are his words, not mine. That I fell down that Souls rabbit hole. I have a theory about the world design of these games. Playing Sekiro, I begun to think that my experience as Wolf was similar to the experience of being a cat in the real world. In Sekiro, I found myself sneaking past other creatures, at other times moving in for an assassination or melee battle. Many creatures were much bigger than me, including some humanoids and apes that would try to kick or smack me out of their way. In order to traverse these worlds, I had to climb things in Sekiro and in Dark Souls, slog through dense and dark areas that felt like a forest floor or small crevices of a muddy swamp at the roots of a giant tree. This giant world made me feel like a small critter in both games. Perhaps those were the intentions of the creators of these games, to make us feel like we were small animals in a giant world struggling to survive. This contrasts, however, the fact that both games you are not a common person. I would love to know your thoughts on this. Last night, I plunged for the first time into Blighttown at 60 frames per second on PC. I smoked some marijuana, turned off the music in the game, and played some Beethoven in uncompressed quality. What a game. P.S. I was the one who sent...
Who's this?
Daryl. I was the one who
Daryl,
sent
man.
Huber the Terminator arm. When I sent that, I had no
shit.
idea about his brother, but I'll save that story just in case I run into Huber at E3 or a similar event.
Daryl, dude.
I hope everyone's doing
Daryl,
well.
man.
So, Daryl, I wanted to read that because it was a journey. Hard, I guess, to pinpoint the question, but I think what Daryl is getting at is he's saying, like, what do you think about how much value is there in making you feel like a speck in these kind of larger than life worlds? Like, how do you cultivate that feeling?
I mean, it's definitely Bloodborne.
And is it
right?
intentional?
Well, I think even Demon Souls, even like normal NPCs you talk to are generally like 1.5 times your height. Besides like the doll and the maiden, like every other NPC is like 8 feet tall. Like you literally are just smaller than everyone else. Like you're in the land of giants in Dark Souls, and like Sekiro, even like Ishin is like way taller than you. So I mean that's one way. Just literally make you smaller than everyone else.
It's interesting though because I feel like there are games where like I will fight giant things and it's not that impressive.
Yeah.
It's like
I think that the use of music generally being during
gosh, yeah.
bosses really helps lend to the gravitas.
epicness.
but
The
like
camera is, good at like you can control it yourself to be like, oh, okay, this guy is big. Yeah, what were you gonna say?
like in games, a lot of times I'll go like, oh, a boss is coming up because like everything in the game is pointing to that.
Yeah.
And like, okay, here's the boss. And it might be cool, but I think it's more impressive. And I think like Shadow of the Colossus is a great example where you're like in this world where there's almost nothing. And then all of a sudden you're going along and it's like, oh, a mountain is moving and I've
Right.
got to climb on top of it. And there's no like, this is the boss room. It just kind of happens and it overwhelms you. And I think Dark Souls or From Software games are like that as well, where like it starts horrifying and then like they keep surprising you with how crazy it can be. Like Bloodborne is a good example where you're just walking around and then some dude on a Gatling gun is just blowing you away.
Yeah.
And it just happens. It's not like, it's set up or you have to go through a loading screen. It just feels like this dynamic event.
But if you're coming from behind him, he can't shoot at you, and then you can
but
sneak
I'm
up
just
on him.
saying.
But no, and like the lexicon of the Souls games where you're like, oh, this is a boss room, and then sometimes it's not.
Right.
It's
sure.
so great.
God of War, whole franchise.
God of War.
God of War, dude.
Yeah.
Just like coming in as a Spartan warrior into this, like, everyone's a god. Like, you're not the God of War yet.
I think-
spoilers. You know what I'm saying, but like, you're just
Actually-
this Spartan warrior coming
actually
in.
didn't know that.
In God of War 1, it's about like killing the God of War.
And then you become a god.
And then it's like because you killed Ares. Sorry for God of 1 spoilers. I'm sorry. But
It's
like,
okay. It's been a long enough.
yeah, but then yeah. So it's like even when you are the God of War in the next ones, it's like you're still this kind of fish out of water. Just the way, again, you were talking about Shadow of the Colossus, the way big things move,
Right.
the way like you see Kronos coming up with Pandora's Temple, just the scope and the scale and music, like you said, and
And the fact that like if they hit you like 4 times, you die, and
Yeah.
you have to hit them like 50 times.
Yeah.
Right. I do think
Yeah.
I do think difficulty plays a huge
Yeah.
part.
Yeah.
If you're gonna say, hey, here's this scary thing, and like it doesn't do anything to you.
Right.
that is the double-edged sword for me with like JRPG bosses or like even one of
yeah.
even like the bloodstained true ending boss like took me so many tries and it's like so hard for me, and I'll be frustrated for a minute, but then I'll be like, well, contextually, like, Bloodborne
Right.
say, like,
Yeah,
I'm fighting
yeah,
a
yeah.
cosmic beast. Obviously,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
going to be.
It's not gonna be a cakewalk.
Exactly. So it does matter. Difficulty matters.
What if I told you that's something that makes Xenoblade Chronicles so spectacular is like because of the way Xenoblade Chronicles structures its combat system, it's not just, oh, I have to pick things from a menu. I constantly have to move and reposition myself around this giant thing in order to hit this spot, and I have to sequence it with my teammates. And so even though you're doing menu-based combat, those elements make it feel a lot more engaging and an interesting fight.
Yeah.
And it can make menacing things feel more menacing.
I love that.
So, what was I going to say?
You were going to say that was it? Or
Feels
there's
good to
another
feel
email?
small.
No, it was something about enemies.
You were gonna talk about the monumental.
No.
Some kind of God of War boss.
God of War. That was it. It was God of War.
Gotcha.
I kind of admire because we're talking about like difficulty, how that can be a factor, and spectacle, and like God of War has kind of this like brute force
New God
spectacle, more older God of War.
Okay.
I think that it exists in both.
Got it.
But like God of War 2 at the time, fighting the Colossus of Rhodes, it's like, listen, no other game is doing this. Like, it's amazing because we did it. And God of War 3 is like constantly like that, where it's like, we are just so big, you have to marvel at it.
Yeah.
Like, think about the way that game opens, for instance. And I think that can obviously work as well. Our last email comes in from Michael. He says, when games hit too hard, this is not the high note, the happy note, I guess.
Oh,
that
no.
we're ending on. I've been in company. I've been playing the recent Fire Emblem, and without spoiling anything, I'm finding this to be the most intense Fire Emblem story I've experienced. What games have you played that just punched you in the gut? As a reviewer, and to anyone on the panel that does reviews, are you obligated to grind through this discomfort? Do you ever regret not having the time to let a story beat sink in before charging forward?
Life is Strange 2 is destroying me. Not going to spoil it. All I'm going to say.
I think I remember Bound being emotional. Gorogoa. Game stories have a tough time making me like really engage. Suikoden 2,
so easy to
I remember
get me.
feeling like pretty intense.
I agree with you. I think when I was younger, it was easier for a game story to impress me because I like the depth of the media that I was exploring just wasn't there. And I often find that like a good game story pales into comparison to like a good movie story, right? I still think that's the case, but there are times where it'll catch me off guard, and it may not be an entire story, but it'll be one element of the story.
Yeah.
Like I remember Valkyria Chronicles really surprising me because you look at like the storybook style that it has, and just kind of the chipperness of some of the characters. And so when they have to deal with like racism in a really discomforting way, it caught me off guard. And I was like, oh, I'm surprised that they're going there in that way. And I'm not saying they do it perfectly, but I think that unexpectedness for the issues that they tackled really got to me. And just the maturity with which they handled the love story. Again, like not something I was expecting. But I think like The Missing is a really good example.
The Missing, yeah. I mean that's probably the most emotional I've ever been from a game. Was The Missing.
Yeah.
And Shadow of the Colossus also like was the most like but yeah, The Missing is just like if there are the number of games that have like made me like tear up or whatever, maybe like 3 ever. Like The Missing is definitely
Metal Gear Solid 3 is one. Silent Hill 2 comes up. I think the thing that's remarkable about The Missing, though, and this happens with like other media as well more frequently, but like The Missing, I think, hits me on another level because it speaks to like a real world problem where it's like where you have that moment with media and you're like, wow, I can't believe like something like this can happen. Like in The Missing, it's like, why can't we just let people be who they are? Like, why can't we just accept people?
Yeah.
And I think when I have those moments, that hits me pretty hard.
God, The Missing is so good.
Life is strange.
Hubert,
Shut up about
you know
Life
what's
is
gonna
Strange.
you know what's gonna happen
Nobody
with Life is
cares.
Strange? No. You know what's gonna happen with Life is Strange, and you can take this check all the way to the bank. Is at some point, whenever I don't know when this is gonna be, don't know when I'm gonna be able to cash the check, but I bet the much like you and Hollow Knight, I think the Life is
One
Strange.
day you will come and
I will come and I'll be
"Yo."
like. You'll be like the prophet, and I'll be like, you were right about everything. This is so amazing.
I'm sorry.
It's so good. It's been going on so long. It feels like Life is Strange, but dude, you can catch up on that whole franchise like pretty quickly. It's not. There's been like 5 episodes in 1, and there's gonna be 5 in 2, and then like 3.5 in the prequel. It goes quick.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate because like we just had a Easy Allies meeting, and I think the thing that is frustrating is there are all these games coming out, and like
I know
we can't
gonna be a
cover
big
all
month.
of them. And
It's a busy month.
it's like, you going off and covering this one thing, we don't have that many people, so I got to go and cover up this other thing, and that cuts down on the amount of time that we have to play games
I will
for
be
fun, and so
privileged and fortunate to play Astral Chain because you're covering that.
Yeah.
I'm over here.
Yeah.
But I'm glad
But I
that-
hope I can come over there and play Astral Chain, Ben.
Yeah. I'm just grateful that we can come together and talk about it, and you guys can be like, "Oh, that sounds cool." Like
Hell yeah.
at least there's that.
Play The Missing.
Play The Missing.
And Life is Strange.
And Life is Strange. Play what you want to play.
Play what you want to play.
Edith Finch was a good one.
Edith Finch was awesome.
Edith Finch, dude. Great pull.
I don't.
Yeah.
We gave a lot of
Dear
attention
Esther.
to Edith Finch, and I'm like, we didn't give enough attention to Edith Finch.
Edith Finch was good.
All right. Any closing thoughts?
This was fun.
That was good.
A lot of good conversations with you guys today. I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
Love you guys.
Yeah.
You do, Hubert.
I felt the passion. That's always nice. All right, that's going to do it for Frame Trap. Thank you, everybody who watched, and thank you, everybody who wrote in. If you would like to, more emails, please send more emails to Frame Trap so I have more to sort through. AskEasyAllies@gmail.com is the email address. Again, that is AskEasyAllies@gmail.com. Until next time.